the chat box the attendance form for today. So make sure to fill out the attendance form, and also reminding the representatives from the different universities and agencies to please submit the presentation of your assignment, and the email where you will be submitting or sending your presentation will also be sent or pasted here in our chat box. Again, maayong hapon, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We will be starting our program in a minute. So welcome. We are still accepting people in the Zoom room at the moment. And at the same time, we're already live on Facebook. We're still waiting for a few moments maybe so that people who will be joining us on Facebook will also have time to tune in our Facebook account. And also the link to our Facebook Live will be pasted here in our chat box in the Zoom meeting as well. So feel free to share it and invite your colleagues, your office mates, or your friends or family to join us or to join the discussion this afternoon. Maayong hapon. And I can see a number of diverse participants here introducing themselves in the Zoom meeting. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in on time for this afternoon's event. We will be starting in a minute, in a few. Yeah. All right, I think we are already good to go. We're already 50 plus in the Zoom room, and more people are still coming in. And I think we are ready to start our event this afternoon, right? And feel free to continue. To those who just came in, please continue introducing yourself in our Zoom chat. Right, it's already 1 p.m. So I think we are ready, and we're already live on Facebook as well. Again, maayong hapon, magandang hapon sa lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. We are pleased to be joined by a diverse audience this afternoon for our event today entitled Appreciation and Committee on Decorum and Investigation, Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, and Safe Spaces Act. I am Lini Rose Jane D. Henon, a faculty member of the Department of English, College of Arts and Social Sciences of Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology, and it is my pleasure this afternoon to moderate today's discussion. I think to formally begin, I am inviting everyone to take a moment of silence for the prayer. Oh, I'm muted. It happens. Okay, again, I was saying, maayong hapon sa tanan, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. And also to those who are joining with us on Facebook, feel free to share the link and to invite more people for this meaningful discussion this afternoon. Like I was saying, today is the second part of the Learning and Development Program focused on engagement in gender and development. If you were able to join us last week, the areas of focus in this learning program are the two Republic Acts, namely RA 7877, the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, and RA 11313, or the Safe Spaces Act. This training program aims for participants to first apply the concepts of decorum and investigation, implement or strengthen the Committee on Decorum and Investigation in their own HAIs or any agencies, and generate the implementing rules and regulations of Sexual Harassment Act and Safe Spaces Act for their own school agencies through their office manuals and records. So this event this afternoon, this discussion is organized by the Commission in Higher Education of Region 10, specifically its Human Resource Office and the Gender and Development Office. And this is sponsored by the Gender and Development Resource Center of Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping reminders here in Zoom, and I can still see people introducing themselves in the Zoom meeting. You may also do the same in the Facebook chat. So to make this, like online community that we are having this afternoon engaging as possible. But before we begin, just a few reminders to those people who are joining us in the Zoom meeting. First, kindly mute yourself when the session is ongoing. And to optimize your bandwidth usage, we are requesting you to turn off your cameras. Cameras are encouraged to be turned on only after the discussion, specifically during our photo ops. And if you are a presenter later, we would also be requesting you to switch on your camera if your internet will allow you to do so. Also, if you are in the Zoom room, kindly change your Zoom account name to your organization _ your complete name for easy recognition. Again, kindly change your Zoom account name to your organization _ complete name for easy recognition. This is also helpful for everyone, especially when we will be moderating the Q&A, so that we will be able to recognize and your questions appropriately. So also to inform everyone, this session is recorded and also live streamed on Facebook through Gender and Development or GAD Resource Center, MSU Iligan Institute of Technology FB page. And please feel free to share the link. Our team will also paste the link here in the Zoom meeting. Also, again, we are acknowledging the increasing number of people joining us on Facebook. Thank you so much. And also to help us prepare for the discussion today, we will take a pause for a short mindfulness activity. So now I'm inviting everyone to get off whatever you're doing on this busy Monday to participate in this 10-minute mindfulness activity. We will be taking a little break. Try to get off your phone unless you're using your phone to join the meeting, or set aside any paperwork for a short while. So join us with this video presentation or a video mindfulness activity. If you can switch on your video at this moment, that would be nice as well. So we can see everybody participating in this mindfulness activity.
Welcome to the Daily Calm. Let's start today's session by finding a comfortable position with a tall, straight back. Allow your arms to rest gently. And when you're ready, close your eyes. Bring full attention to this very moment, settling in and allowing the mind and body to still. And with openness, patience, and curiosity, bring your awareness to the breath. Taking a deep breath in and releasing it fully. Follow the breath as it flows in and out of your body. And taking one last deep breath before letting the breath settle. Allowing it to feel natural and easy. Don't try to force the breath or regulate it in any way. Just allow it to flow naturally on its own. And we'll scan down the body now, concentrating our attention from part to part. Start by bringing your attention to the top of your head and scalp, feeling whatever's happening in this area. You might feel tingling or heat, throbbing or soft vibrations. There may be strong sensation, or you might not feel much at all. Now lower your attention to your forehead, face, and jaw. Allow the muscles here to relax. On your next out breath, let that sensation dissolve. Lower your focus to the neck, letting the throat and sides and back of the neck soften. Notice any sensation that arises on the surface of the skin or deeper within. Now bring your attention to your shoulders, noticing if there's any tension or strain. Breathe into your shoulders, and if any parts feel tight, allow them to relax. Extend your awareness down the arms, towards the wrists, palms, and fingers. On the next out breath, allow them to soften. Now come to the chest, observing the rise and fall of each breath. Notice how the lungs expand and contract. Direct your attention to your upper and lower back. There may be some intensity, as this is an area where we commonly hold stress. If you notice any tension or warmth or discomfort, just observe what's there. With each breath you take, soften just a little bit more. Moving your focus around to your abdomen. Notice it expanding, filling up with air, and slowly emptying on the exhale. Then bring your attention to your pelvis. Notice where your body makes contact with the ground or your chair. And direct your breath into this area, relaxing into stillness. Now scan your legs, observing your thighs. Notice where they make contact with your cushion or chair. Lowering your attention to your knees and your shins and calves. Let your legs soften and tensions release. When you're ready, breathe into your ankles, your feet and toes. Let them relax and become soft, sinking into a state of relaxed awareness. And as we near the end of the session, take a moment to notice how you feel. You may find that you're more relaxed, as this is often a common outcome of meditation. And this is one of the reasons why it's so helpful to meditate during times of stress. When we're experiencing stress, our amygdala fires up and it's difficult to make thoughtful decisions. So if we find our mind is clouded due to overwhelm, we can use meditation as a tool to calm the mind down. Ideally, we want to meditate in a preventative way so we don't get to that point. But the practice is here for you whenever you need it. And as we near the end of the session, bring your attention back to the room. Wiggle your fingers and toes, and slowly open your eyes. I hope you enjoyed today's Daily Calm. I invite you to bring this state of peace with
All right. Thank you so much for joining that 10-minute mindfulness activity, and just making sure that everybody's back in the room. You may, like use the emojis on, or maybe reactions in the Zoom room, just to make sure that you are back here. And after that relaxing and recentering exercise, I hope that, like that exercise, that short video gave you a little space and moment to relax and recenter yourself. Thank you so much for your active participation. And like I can see, I hope that everyone is back in the room already, and it's good, like to relax ourselves before we join in and start another. I'm pretty sure very engaging exchange and engaging interactive discussion like what we had last week. Right. Okay. So I think it's safe to assume that I'm not alone in the room anymore. That the people are back here, and also I hope that people in the on Facebook was also able to join us in that mindfulness activity. So as I have mentioned in the beginning part of this program, this is the second part of our training. Last week you were joined by my colleague Miss Queenie Pearl Tomaro in the session on anti-sexual harassment and Safe Spaces Act, and you had a very substantive and interactive discussion. Today's conversation will center around the code of ethics. I think this topic was been introduced and discussed also last week, but there will be a continuation this week. And also, this conversation today will also center around the Committee on Decorum and Investigation, composition, regulations, roles, and responsibilities. Just reminding everyone of the rules to please mute yourself. You may make use of the reaction buttons to make up for the lack of visual feedback to those with their cameras off. And you may also share your insights in the Zoom chat as we go along with the discussion. So if you have any questions related to the discussion of our speaker, please make use of the chat function and type in your questions at any point. We will save your questions for the open forum after the input, and our speaker as well will integrate answers to your questions in the discussion. For those of you guys joining on Facebook, and please type in your questions in the comment section of the live stream. We have harvesters who will be sending in your questions in the Zoom meeting, and we will make sure and we'll try our best that all questions will be accommodated. A reminder just to please start your question by stating your name and institutional affiliation. After today's training, please don't forget to complete the evaluation form. The link to the form will be shared later, and that will be the basis for the release of the e-certificates. And some of you are actually asking about our assignment for today, and we will give us space and time for that later in the program for the presenters to present your output. So to those of you who were with us last week, we ended our fruitful discussion with an assignment from which the HEIs will be presenting, or any representative from different agencies will be presenting today. Just to reiterate the instructions, so based on the laws discussed last week, you need to formulate 8 provisions to be included in your respective school manuals. You will then be indicating the legal basis, reasons of each provisions, and you're expected to make a PowerPoint presentation. And you can see in the Zoom chat, we also sent the email wherein you will be sending your assignments, and there will be prizes to those who will be presenting. And I think our speaker will share what are the prizes for that activity. So I think we're already ready to get started. Can I see maybe a thumbs up reaction or a heart reaction from the Zoom room? So before we start the discussion, and I can see a number. Okay, it's good to feel that I'm not, like sometimes this is a challenge of this kind of modality, but it's good to see a number of people, reacting, making reactions in the Zoom room. So I think we're already ready to get started with the discussion. So allow me to introduce again our speaker, who is also our speaker in the last session last week, and he will also give feedback on the presentation of the assignments today. So our speaker this afternoon is a lawyer and is the owner of the Peralta Law Offices. He is an assistant professor in the Department of Human and Family Development Studies of the College of Human Ecology, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. He is the director of the UPLB Gender Center. He holds a degree in Bachelor of Science in Biology from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and a Bachelor of Laws from the School of Law of San Beda College, Alabang. Our speaker is currently pursuing a doctorate degree in development studies at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. He is presently a member of the Philippine Commission on Women National Gender and Development Resource Pool. He is a seasoned paralegal trainer on gender-based violence, sexual harassment, and related laws and abuses and discrimination, an experienced researcher in gender and development studies, sexual harassment, women empowerment, and gender equality, and also an adept legal consultant and an active member of the academe. To talk about the Code of Ethics and Committee on Decorum and Investigation, composition, regulations, roles, and responsibilities, please help me welcome our speaker this afternoon, Attorney Eric Paul D. Peralta. A virtual round of applause to our speaker this afternoon. Attorney, the virtual floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Lynn Rose, for that very comprehensive introduction about me. Again, welcome once again to all our HEIs, representatives from HEIs that are present today, several partner agencies. No? Magandang tanghali po sa atin lahat. Muli ako po ay nagbabalik to continue my discussion that we had last June 4. I just hope that the kind of participation that the participants had last week will still be the same today. All right. So it's day 2 of this webinar on appreciation on CODI, the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act and Safe Spaces Act. Uh, this is again me, the speaker. And for today, we will be continuing with what we have accomplished last June 7. And after that, we will be viewing presentations from HEIs who were able to do the assignment. I hope that many of you are able to accomplish the output and that many of you will present this afternoon also. The prices, I think I have already forwarded it to Sir JP. And you already know the price at stake. For your information, all of the HEIs who were able or who will be able to present their output today will receive a prize of your own choosing. Okay, so allow me to proceed directly to the topic. Okay, so last Monday we stopped we stopped with this section of RA 11313 about the code of conduct and the code itself. So these two important provisions of RA 11313 is of course worthy to be discussed and are very much important for HEIs to be aware of. So the code of conduct basically it has a deadline. So this should have been developed before or this should have been developed by all agencies within 150 days from the effectivity of the rules. So basically, it's more than I think it's more than a year. So it is understood that all institutions that are covered by RA 11313 have already developed or institutionalized their own code of conduct. So some important provisions of the code of conduct is of course definition of the GBSH. Now for those who are were not here last Monday, GBSH is of course gender-based sexual harassment. Again, it flowed from the concept of sexual harassment under RA 777, which was the concept was enhanced or developed under RA 11313 or the Safe Spaces Act, whereby sexual harassment has been reworded into a gender-based sexual harassment. So the code of conduct, again, these are the minimum requirements, that there is a specific definition on what gender-based sexual harassment is all about, its coverage, its forms, its classifications, its appropriate penalties, when, where it may be committed, and by whom. So take note, on the laws of CHED Memo, Order Number 1 Series of 2015, and also the 2017 RACs in connection to RA 11313, we have already discussed the coverage, the forms, classification. So it's up to the institution now to adopt these provisions into its own code of conduct. Okay, so the only thing that is required when you make your code of conduct is that it should be in harmony with those laws. All right, so it's up to the code of conduct. It's up to the institution really on what will be the contents. But here are the minimum requirements. Second, specify the procedures in filing of cases. So if we will again look back to RA 7877, the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, diba? There should be procedures in filing and investigating and resolving cases. So it has been elaborated in RA 11313 by way of that kind of provision be included in the code of conduct, which is required to be present already, because there is a 150-day deadline upon which this code of conduct should have been there, should have been present already. So the procedures will be from how to file cases, how to investigate, what are the periods for the investigation, what will be the grounds for appeal, and so on and so forth. And this is very important because this will serve as the basis for the functions of the CODI. All right. So again, without these procedures, without this CODI, there's a chance that the complaint will not be properly scrutinized, no, leading to no immediate action on the part of the head of the institution or the head of the agency, subjecting that head of the agency to several liabilities. Administratively, di ba? Remember, in 2017 RACS, there is uh, an admin liability of neglect of duty that was mentioned there and was again reiterated under CHED Memorandum Order Number 1 of 2015. So in connection to that, all right, it goes to show that the procedures are very much important because it will help in proper resolution of cases. Now, apart from the procedures that should be undergone upon filing the case of sexual harassment, the functions, responsibilities, composition, and qualification of the members of the CODI should be also be provided. Now, the specific composition, the specific responsibilities, no, you just have to refer to the laws that we have discussed last Monday. Like for example, again with this law RA 11313, the composition is very clear, right? When you talk about a CODI in a workplace environment, and also with regards to CODI in an educational environment. So just have to refer to it. For the functions, although there are 3 functions elaborated here in 11313, you should also refer to CHED Memo, Order Number 1, Series of 2015, also in 2017 RACS. Okay, so it will be very easy. No, you just have to refer to those laws and just fill up your CODI. I think they could fill in your code of conduct and populate it by really just referring to the law. All right? It just so happened that it is required by the law that each institution should have a code of conduct. Why? Because I believe in every policy it must be contextual, no, to the norms, the values, the geographical location whatsoever in the given institution. So what the law is providing for is that, no, for the minimum requirements, these are what should be there, no. And the other things, as long as it's in harmony with the laws that were discussed last Monday, it will be okay. Okay? So apart from that, again, apart from the functions, responsibilities, composition, no, the penalties should also be there, no, in case that the CODI will not be able to perform or inadequately perform their respective functions. So to the CODI members out there, no, we are not immune, no, from being subjected to liability as well. Because again, there is a specific provision under 11313 in Code of Conduct stating that we can be liable or made liable for non-performance and inadequate performance, and this kind of liability can be included in the code of conduct of that given institution. All right. Okay. Now, if you recall, last Monday, there was a question about how can we make the partner institution be liable when interns will be provided or interns will be sent, no, to the institution. Now, the RA 113 mentioned about this specific provision that, no, in cases of sexual harassment involving partner OJTs for student interns or even partner OJTs, in a context of a workplace scenario or an educational training institution, that there can be provisions in the code of conduct for that matter. Okay? If there's no code of conduct, of course, no, logically, for every partner institution, there is a MOA that can be referred to. But I think it should be proper also that that kind of scenario should be also put into as a part of the policy of that institution by way of incorporating it in the code of conduct. Kasi without the code of conduct, you just have to refer, there's something about a violation of the law and therefore we cannot renew you again, or we have to rescind the contract or rescind the MOA. But I think the proper thing to do, aside from it including it in the MOA, is that it should also be provided as part of the code of conduct of that given institution. Okay? So not only with not only with the partner institutions, I believe in some HEIs, no, they also accommodate concessionaires, no, or those which provide services, no, that are not provided for by the institution itself. So when these concessionaires harass students, harass workers, it would seem to be that there will be no remedy, no, but we can solve that issue by way of providing it or indicating it in the code of conduct again. So in other words, it would appear to be that the code of conduct, aside from it being provided for by RA 11313, is very much important when you talk about resolving, no, or dealing with sexual harassment cases, when you talk about prevention and the response mechanisms. No? Now, apart from the legal aspect, of the code of conduct, we should also the HEIs, you as HEIs or the employers, can also include in this code of conduct the provision of support. Now, this support may pertain to psychological or psychosocial counseling services, referrals, and assistance, of course, may be for the filing of admin civil criminal cases. No? Again, I am reiterating last time that these kinds of acts are traumatic incidents. No? And of course, when it comes to when we talk about trauma, there needs to be some sort of a psychosocial support, or mechanism by way uh, the people, the uh, parties involved will be able to cope up or to cope with the current scenario, apart from, for example, being a student or being an employee in that given workplace. So although the provision states that employers may, so it would appear to be optional, but I think in my experience in handling sexual harassment cases, it should be a part, of the mechanism to be provided for, apart from the CODI, that can provide support for victims, especially victims. No? For the perpetrators, there are provisions, especially in CHED Memorandum Number 1, Series 515, allowing for support to them, for them to be somehow rectified. No? But here, the focus was on victims. But I may suggest that some support or counseling can be given to the perpetrators as well. Although in CHED Memorandum Number 1, Series of 2015, you remember that it is upon the request, of the perpetrator. But I hope, it will not be the same. It will mean not be by request, but it should be somehow also provided to perpetrators, not victims. Take note, they're only perpetrators. In fact, they have the right to respond, and they have the right to clear their names, and reputation. So it would be proper that both of them should be subjected to the same level of support. Although what the law provides here is a focus on victims, again, I believe or strongly believe that perpetrators should be also afforded necessary support for them to be rectified in case they are really the perpetrators for that given incident. Okay. All right, so that's the code of conduct, no? So I hope apart we should realize, no, that apart from it being mandated for to be created within institutions, no, we should also realize why, it must be created, why there must be a code of conduct that should be complied with. And apart from it, you see that it's very easy. You just have to refer to the law, the minimum requirements, the laws that were mentioned. I think Sir JP was able to provide you the copies of my PowerPoint. So you just have to refer to it and then put some provisions that are applicable to your geographical setup. Okay, so that it can be effectively utilized because the code needs it. The the constituency needs it. All right? So that kapag may naharas, hindi siya yung saan ako pupunta? What can I do? Ano may papayil ko? Hindi ko alam. 'Di ba? As I tell you, in my experience in sexual harassment case, that's enough, the first thing that victims look for, kapag naharas sila. Where can I file a case? What can I do? 'Di ba? Kasi if the procedure will not say that you should file this one with the CODI, baka mag-file pa kay Dean. Si Dean pag-ayusin pa, tapos. Paano na yung hustisya? Di po ba? So it would be better that the procedure should be there by way of a code of conduct, and there's this independent internal mechanism, like the CODI, which should be created. Okay, now the CODI creation. I think this is already a surplusage. Kumbaga, dahil nga, the CODI has been mandated to be created way back 1995 when RA 7877 was enacted. Okay? Again, reiterated in 2017 RACS, reiterated in the CHED Memorandum Order, which is again reiterated under RA 11313. Okay? Now, same with the Code of Conduct, the 150 days should be from the effectivity of the rules. Now, the law was made effective on August 3. Okay, so it would appear to be that it is now required that it is now assumed that all institutions have their own CODI. All right. Now, this CODI under 11313 should serve as an independent internal grievance mechanism. Now, for your information, it is the first time that the CODI has been pertain to in this manner. No? It's always called Committee on Decorum and Investigation. But now, I think the emphasis is that it should be independent. Okay, it should be internal, no? And it should be it should be a sort of a grievance mechanism that should investigate and resolve cases of gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace and in an education or training-related environment. Okay? So, kumbaga, in Tagalog po, no, yung CODI, ando na po yan, sinasabi na po sa atin na magkaroon since RA 777, 1995. Na ulit-ulit na po hanggang po ngayon. No? Paulit-ulit pa rin po sinasabi ng batas na kailangan po ay may CODI. Dapat po ay may CODI. Okay? I can see many chat messages. I just have to check, no? Baka po may questions. Alright. For information, no, to the participants, you can just type your questions, no, so that tuloy-tuloy lang po tayo. But I have portions for question and answers later on. But just ask, no, and I will try to answer immediately. Same to our Facebook viewers. You just have to just type your questions there, and the moderators will call my attention to respond to the questions. Okay, I think it's better that you ask questions, no? Kasi, well, in my experience as an RP, no, for so long, I think much learning can be had when there are proper discussions or discourses about things, and we have question and answers a lot that can effectively that will make you effectively learn, make you learn effectively instead of me just discussing. Okay, so if you have questions, reflections, just blurt it out, and I will do my best, no, to answer. All right, so CODI. Okay, so now we're past through the composition of the CODI. No? I hope the other participants who just came in today will be encouraged to check the Facebook video last time. So again, apart from the named compositions of the CODI, there is an emphasis, no, especially specifically in the implementing rules and regulations of 11313 about each member that they should be impartial. Okay? Apart from being impartial, they should be not connected or not related to the alleged perpetrator, may it be by consanguinity or affinity within the fourth degree. Now, what's a fourth degree relative? Okay? Yung fourth degree po, ito po yung pinsan, yung cousin. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, relationships short of a cousin, alright, are covered by this prohibition. Pamangkin nyo, tito nyo, tatay nyo, yun po, covered po yan ng prohibition as being a member of CODI. Okay? So apart from being partial, apart from the composition of the CODI, no, in 11313, they should also be impartial. They should not be connected to or related to the alleged perpetrator by way of consanguinity, ibig sabihin blood relative, affinity, ito po yung mga in-law. Alright? So there should be no CODI member should be connected or related within the fourth degree of consanguinity or affinity, okay, to the alleged perpetrator. Okay, and next, there should be no prior record of involvement, whether as a respondent, a defendant, or accused in whatever nature of sexual harassment. Okay, so kumbaga, apart from the composition, there are additional requirements, no, specifically in the section of 11313 under CODI, that again, they should be impartial about the relationship, maybe it be for by way of affinity or consanguinity within the fourth degree, and there should be no record of being involved even as a respondent, okay, or a defendant or accused in any case of whatever nature of sexual harassment. Okay, now, in case that there is a consanguinity or affinity, may it be with the complainant, all right, or the respondent, the CODI on its own can inhibit, all right, from participating in any part of the proceeding and can also be substituted for that matter, all right. However, if the CODI will not do it, no, but that relationship exists, the complainant or the respondent may request a member to inhibit. Okay, so ano to, yung motion to inhibit or any other document indicating the request for inhibition on the part of the CODI member who is related, no, by way of consanguinity or affinity with the fourth degree to either the complainant or respondent. Okay. All right. Now, these are the very, of course, this is very basic, no? All types of served due process. May due process, of course, this is a basic human right, no? That the person complained of will be given ample time to respond. Okay, yun po yung due process. Also, if there is an adverse ruling, the perpetrator or anyone who is the losing party can ask for reconsideration or can ask for an appeal. So it's the essence of due process. Now, if you will see later on in the procedure of filing cases of sexual harassment, upon filing of the complaint, it is important that there should be an answer or a counter affidavit or counter complaint on the part of the respondent, so that no, both parties will be heard properly, and will enable the CODI to investigate and decide no, on these complaints. Now, the period is quite short. Talking from experience, no? Maikli po ito ng konti. But there can be chances whereby the CODI can seek for a request for extensions before the disciplining authority. Okay, so it's provided for in that the decision should be in 10 days. But again, talking from experience, medyo maikli po yan. Especially if there are a lot of witnesses, especially talaga po may abogado, no, either one, either a complaint or respondent, humahaba po yan eh. No, because of course you have the lawyer cannot be blamed. No, the lawyers are just there to defend the rights of their or protect the interests of their client. So medyo humahaba po, lagi may maraming witness, may mga resetting, ganyan. So parang kulang yung 10 days. But again, the CODI can just ask or request for extension of time to provide for or to formulate the investigation report, okay? And that the disciplinary authority has the discretion to allow such an extension given the scenario. Okay? Now, before any law, before 11313, or the laws that we have discussed last time, no, there's no specific provision about this one, about the protection of the complainant from retaliation. Wala po. Okay, but in 11313, it was expressly provided for that the CODI should ensure that the complainant will be protected from any retaliation. And in fact, the retaliation has been somehow elaborated here. Okay, that there should be no retaliation without causing her or him any disadvantage, diminution of benefits or displacement, and without compromising his or her security of tenure. So in other words, the common fears of a complainant whereby I will not like to file a case because baka po ako matanggal sa trabaho o baka po ako mabigyan ng liability, somehow masusolusyonan if the CODI themselves will be able to ensure the protection on the part of the complainant. Now, even the institution actually can provide for this kind of protection. Okay, it's up to the head of the agency by way of in the code of conduct stating that if for example, if there will be retaliation acts on the part of the perpetrator, then the perpetrator can be subjected to disciplinary action. That's the very basic. Okay, kasi the effect of not providing for any retaliatory mechanisms on the part of the complainant will just hindi na lang ako mag-file. Naghirap-hirap mag-file ng kaso na ganito. Pagdating sa hearing, mabaliktad pa ako. No? Commonly, sasabihin na napokpok ako. So ano pa bang, ba't pa ako magreklamo? Diba? Yun ang common po no, in practice. Wala po sa libro yun. Na-experience lang po namin as CODI members. Talagang when you talk about hearings regarding these cases, it would appear to be talagang mauungkat ulit lahat, no? Apart from making it appear that the complainant is at fault, of course. No? That's what happens commonly. You know? So, dapat talaga mangyari po ito mga the provisions of the CODI ensures, no? At somehow, the complainant or any victim will not be discouraged, no? To file a case, no? Kasi otherwise, wala po. Will not be able to eliminate sexual harassment within our institution. Okay? And apart from that, there should be gender-sensitive handling of cases. Okay? Confidentiality. Siguro yung gender-sensitive handling, it will be by way of building the capacities of the staff of the CODI, for that matter. Sana wala na po yung mga nabalita ko sa iba na nag-file ng complaint. Sabi, ba't kasi ba't kasi alas 11 na, nasa labas pa kayo ng yung mga ganun. Medyo hindi po yon, no? Hindi po yun katanggap-tanggap bilang CODI member na ganun pong response natin. Okay? Kasi, well, based data and the anecdotal experiences will show that before that person will be able to file a case, sobrang pinag-isipan po niya na maigi yan. At saka po, no, hindi mo niya i-risk lahat, no? Kasi alam naman po natin, no, that filing cases of sexual harassment is very, hard or very burdensome, no, on the part of the party. So why waste time to file? Di po ba? So at least sana dun sa pag-receive pa lang ng complaint, no, should be fair in receiving the complaint and do not provide the prejudice, no, by stating these kinds of things. And second pa, alam naman po natin HEIs, di po ba? Masarap po pagkwentuhan no, kapag po may ganyang kaso. Pero ang problema, if we talk about these things, no, we tend to risk the confidentiality factor that should be, no, that is provided for by the law, stating that, no, the ones who are receiving these kinds of cases should be uh, all CODI members should, ensure the confidentiality. Okay, what will be the effect, no, if there's no confidentiality? Of course, no one will be no one will file a case anymore. Kasi pinagkikwentuhan lang para na-discover pa kung sino. No? And this is very important. We're talking about careers here. No? We're talking about the names and reputations of people here. So at least gender sensitivity in handling cases is very important, especially from the receipt up to the end. And also that confidentiality of the identity, the proceedings, the evidentiary documents, should be at the greatest extent possible. Take note, I copied this from the law itself. It mentions about the confidentiality at the greatest extent possible. So I think what the law mandates is that we should impose the highest confidentiality ever, for handling sexual harassment cases. We talk about CODI. All right? Okay. So medyo mamihirap, may bigat po yung trabaho ng isang pagiging CODI member, no? Ganun po talaga. All right. Okay. All right. I just have to respond to some of the not really questions, no, but reflections here. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. From Juan Jagonia, Joey Marie. Okay. While the manual states sanctions for the person, usually the professor or employee, what happens if proven after investigation that the student accusing the professor has an axe to grind and therefore lied? Is it important in the manual to also write sanction in cases happens? Okay, doon muna tayo sa what happens na if really the case or that it was found out that the students just lied. So what will happen is that the case will be dismissed. All right, I would like to believe that the CODI, is of course also assessing the evidence. No, so if based on the evidence, apart from assessing it, the CODI found out that the student just lied, so the case will be dismissed. All right, now the question that is it important to also write sanction in case this happens? It is also important. Pero without even writing it, meron naman pong options apart from what should be written in the manual. Okay, so it's important if it's in the manual, but there can be other options. Of course, the respondent can file cases outside. I think the act of lying is already I think in all schools siguro, that is a kind of a misconduct which can be covered by your tribunal. So pwede naman po 'yon. Di po ba? Kasi meron yan na kapag, like for example, if you cheat, if you do this, if you hurt someone like that, I think that is equivalent to a violation or misconduct on given the HEI. So if it's not there, it can be provided for in the manual. But even without a manual, there are other laws that can be serve as a guidance for the respondent. Like for example, we have this crimes in the revised penal code. Take note. Later, I will discuss about the complaints, for or under CHED memo, which states that the complaint should be notarized. So if the student lied under oath, there is a corresponding crime of perjury. So the respondent here can seek redress or relief from the institution itself. Also can go outside, okay, before the courts by filing a case of perjury, at least perjury for that matter. Okay, and even the respondent, if the uh, harassment accusation damage, the reputation of the respondent, then he or she can also file a case for damages. So there can be remedies, if this scenario happens that really indeed the student just lied. Okay? In fact, the remedies are three-pronged. No? It can be by way of an admin proceeding here. Okay? If not in the manual, there can be other provisions which can be referred to in the admin setup or in the institution itself. Criminally, there is unjust vexation. We can still argue about intrigue against honor, pwede rin. And also, as way of damages, if the reputation, the damage to the name reputation can be uh, put into terms of money. Alright? So meron pong ganon. There can be three ways of relief by way of addressing this kind of scenario. Pero ang pinakauna po dyan, like what I was mentioning, is that this case will be dismissed. Alright? I hope I was able to answer your question, Sir Joey. Okay, from Jane, Miss Jane of MSUIIT. On the composition of CODI, will the entrenched dominance of male, blah, blah. So, okay. If you refer to RA 11313, particularly in both CODIs in the workplace and education training institution, the head should be a woman, and that the composition should be at least 50% women. In fact, in CODI in educational environment, the ensuring of the equal representation or equal representation to the SOGI is actually provided for. So how do we do that? It's provided for in the law. It's just a matter of implementing the provisions of the law, okay, by the implementing body, which is the institution itself. Yun po yun. Okay? All right. So the problem that male dominance in CODI can be averted by way of implementing what is provided for by the law, particularly RA 11313 and its implementing rules and regulations. May we request the speaker to spell out the acronym? All right, Ma'am Gladys. No? The CODI is Committee on Decorum and Investigation. The RA cited is RA 777, RA 11313. In addition to these two RAs, we also refer to CHED Memorandum Number 1, Series of 2015, and also 2017 RACs. If you're there last Monday, we have fully discussed those four provisions. I thank you, Ma'am Lynn-Rose, for spelling it out. Thank you po, everyone. All right. There's a private question. I will not name the... nasagot ko na po ito pala. Sorry. That was from Joy Marie of Xavier University. As stated, okay. This was also answered. All right. From MSUIT again, Lynn Rose. I'm wondering how this provision is translated to practice. When we talk about practice, we're dealing with implementation. So really, it's up to the institutions on how they will be able to implement it. Ay, Joey Marie. Sorry, Joey Marie. I apologize. No, sorry. Ma'am Joey Marie. All right. From Corazon Biligaray. What might be the reason of the law why female will be the head of CODI? All right. So, I'm not part of the deliberations in the enactment of the law, but I think it's quite logical, because again, data and anecdotal experiences will state that most of the perpetrators are males. Okay, so it would just be proper that a female should be the head. So to avoid any male ingredient as to the determining factor on the implementation of a recommendation on the part of the CODI. Okay, ano naman po yan apart from data, apart from anecdotal experiences, I think we all know that most of the perpetrators no, if not all, are males. No? And I think that's one of the reasons why there should be proper implementation of the female as a head. So the composition, I think it's provided for in the Magna Carta, no, that committees should encourage representations more from the female sector. Okay. All right, from hindi ko alam, is this coming from other anyway, from MSU IIT again, possible harassment can now be done online. How can Cody adapt to this? How will we tailor fit code to make itself relevant? All right. Okay. Yes, indeed. No, harassment can happen online. In fact, under 11313, no, if you will recall our discussion last week, no, on gender-based online sexual harassment, this can happen. Okay. So how can Cody adapt to this? I think the question really is on how you will be able to access the documents, no? Because of course, we talk about possible harassment. Sometimes it is by way of exchange in messages, by way of social media accounts, no? By way of text messages, or commonly yung mga porn videos uploaded, yun. So you just accept the evidence as it is, no? And po talaga kasi by the rules nakalagay naman po that you're not bound with the technical rules of evidence. So just accept it and just the best that you can, assess it. If you have a lawyer, it will be better in the CODI if you have a lawyer there. And that, no, based on that, if for you there really indeed was sexual harassment online, then ganun pa rin. The clear thing about it is that online sexual harassment can happen and is in fact punishable. So the CODI will just rely on the evidence. Now, there is a provision that you should not be bound by technical rules. So take it as it is, assess whether that kind of act online is indeed a sexual harassment act. No? And from that, I think we will be able to provide a proper recommendation. How will you tailor fit CODI to make itself relevant? I think there should be coordination with your experts in your institution. Like for example, if you had an IT expert, no, so that you will have proper consultations, no. Kasi importante rin po sa CODI yung pong capacity building po ninyo eh. So it would be better not to just be abreast, no, of the existing laws, but also to be abreast of existing technologies. So one way is by way of consultation with your IT. I think every institution has their own IT office upon which you can just refer to for consultations. From ang Gladys, ma'am, noted po. I apologize din po. Okay. All right. Again, from Joy Marie, are the members of CODI in the academy protected? We had a case, we made a decision, and the lawyer of that person sent individual letters to us. I believe so, that we're treated in the way, telling us they are filing a case against you. I thought it to be vexing and happy. Vexing and happy it was, but what if? Naputol po. But anyway, there's no specific provision of protection, no, for CODI members. No, the protections is again dun pa rin po sa basis as we are employees of that institution. So there are none. Okay, if you can add, no, in your code of conduct, then it can be possible. But without any addition of protection on the part of the CODI, there are none. The same protection applies to every government employee. Okay. Now, as to the letters, all right. Well, lawyers can do that, no? It just well, ganun po talaga eh, no? The lawyers will just tend to always protect the interests of the client, no? So there can be threats like that in that kind of demand letter, no? But again, if cases will really be filed against you, you have the right to respond. You have the right to countercharge. Okay, you have the right to counterclaim. Okay, so the same protection to everyone, to every government employee, in fact, to every citizen, that we cannot be, that there cannot be cases that can be filed against us without basis. The stress that we receive from these kinds of things, yun ang hindi ko masagot, no? Kasi it will really depend on you are sanay ka na sa ganyan or whatsoever. Pero kapag po may ganitong mga letters, yung iba po sa atin, hindi po sanay makatanggap niyan. Kaya it would appear to be that maapektuhan po talaga tayo. Okay, pero dapat po kasi kumbaga tanggap po natin 'yan, no? We would want to seek justice. So some other outside factors will cripple us or will tend to hinder us in achieving so. Pero if we have this kind of advocacy, we know that we're in the right, nasa tama tayo, alam natin, di po ba? So it will just stick to it. In fact, any charge naman po, may it be in the tribunal or any court, ebidensya naman po yan eh. So kung ano po naman demand letter na yan, kung alam nyo naman po in yourself that you're doing what's right, no? That you're doing nothing wrong, no? So I believe that that case will be dismissed. Yung stress lang po hindi ko masagot, ma'am. Kasi ano po yan eh, depende po sa pag-handle po natin. Ganun po. Pero there are cases of course that I've heard that the CODI members were charged, no? Pero no, kung wala namang ebidensya yung habla sa kanila, di wala rin. Di ba? Okay. Pero yun nga po, that's a great idea that the members of the CODI should have some sort of a protection measure, at least, no, as part of the code of conduct. Pero without that, same protection po na Civil Service Commission, yung rules, yung ating yung meron po tayo. Okay, from Ms. Nelpa, Misamis University. After the complaint has been filed, is it possible for parties involved to reconcile and ask CODI? That's very much possible. Now, if the reconciliation is possible, but if the case is filed and the CODI determines that even if the case will be withdrawn, we can proceed. It's a different matter because later on I will discuss some provisions which state that withdrawal of complaints will not lead automatically to the dismissal of the case. Okay? So yun po. Makikita niyo po yun mamaya. So moving forward, all right. So thank you thank you for asking questions. No? Just ask your questions and I will answer it. All right? So in 11313, there are oversight mechanisms. No? So you will see here that I think indeed every implementing agency here that is very important in the implementation of the law has been tapped. No? Co-chairs include the PCW, the LG, and the ICT. So there are several functions of this oversight, but of course the function is oversight. So basically they check on whether the provisions there are being implemented properly. So apart from that, they harmonize initiatives, ensure collaboration, coordination. There is an M&E system that should be developed. Policies should be recommended. Strategies, program include linkages with CSOs and NGOs, meet at least twice a year or as often as may be necessary, and other functions. Okay, so the good thing is that there is some sort of a mechanism that represents the implementing bodies in the law itself. Okay, in the monitoring of the provisions of the law. All right, now I included this part as a bonus because I think it will be better if we understand 11313 by way of comparison with all other laws that are somehow relevant to the contents of 11313. So if we will look at it to the RACs, we will see that 11313 is criminal, meaning that the penalties are imprisonment and or fine. Now, there is this specific act in 11313 whereby the penalty is not imprisonment and or fine. In addition to that, there's a penalty of community service. If you remember that, we have discussed this last time. Apart from the community service, there's a requirement that there should be gender sensitivity seminar. In the admin procedure or admin proceedings in RACs, the penalties are of course reprimand, suspension, to dismissal from service. Okay? Now in both laws accommodate peer-to-peer sexual harassment. So this both laws goes away or veers away from the previous rule or previous law of RA 777 about the requirement of authority, influence, or moral ascendancy. Here, those three aspects are not considered anymore. Peer-to-peer or people of the same level can harass each other, and if there's harassment, then that there are two laws which can provide for relief or redress. Okay, it can be by way of a criminal sexual harassment or an admin one. Okay, now the difference is, of course, in 11313, it covers private persons or private individuals. Whereas kapag RACs, the coverage is government employees. Okay, this is a revised admin rules in the civil service, so it covers government employees for that matter. So 11313 covers public spaces, online, workplace, education, training related. In RACS, of course, it covers only matters of sexual harassment connection to employment. Okay? Okay, now in connection to 9262, both are criminal cases. The 9262 covers domestic relationship abuses. Okay, there are four: physical, psychological, sexual, economic. Now here, regardless of the act, as long as it's a sexual harassment act, okay, in public space, in online, workplace, education, training, may it be between persons belonging to a relationship, or may it be belonging to persons, strangers from each other, no? There can be violation of RA 11313. All right? So yun po, no? Sa 19262, there's always this aspect of relationship. Here 11313, if persons will catcall you in public, no, you can make that person liable under 11313. Whereas in 9262, you cannot, no, because here there's a requirement that there is a relationship between the accused and the complainant. The relationship can be marital, sexual, or dating. All right? So this can be complementary in any matters involving sexual harassment. Okay. Penalties are somehow the same, but again, if you remember gender-based sexual harassment in public spaces, no, there is an addition to the prison imprisonment and fine, which includes community service and gender sensitivity seminar. Okay, 11313 and 10175. Well, it's very important that we put somehow a demarcation line between the two. Why? Because again, 11313, we have this concept of gender-based online sexual harassment, which somehow also is punishable under 10175. Okay? Because gender-based online sexual harassment covers cyber crimes offenses like cyber libel, cyber sex, child pornography. It can be covered even, no, yung computer-related identity theft. It's covered under gender-based online sexual harassment. Okay? So, I think the thin line which demarcates the two is the sexual connotation. For example, in cyber libel, parang binanggit ko na yata ito before, no? That if there's a post or public post stating that, si ganito, that person is estapador, ang daming utang, nagtataguan niya lahat, bawal kayong lumapit sa tao na yan kasi lolokohin lang kayo niyan. I think that falls under 10175. Pero kapag ang nakapost ay, sa ganito ay pokpok, araw-araw kung sino-sino na lalaki kasama niyan, yan ay Makate, ganyan. Dito yan sa 11313. So it pertains to both acts, no, which damages the name and reputation of one person, but if there's no sexual component, 10175 is the law which you can be referred to. But if there's a sexual underpinning on that given example of cyber libel, ito po tayo sa 11313. So medyo thin lang po ang line differentiating the two. It really depends on the circumstances. But the good thing is that this law can work, no, alongside each other when you talk about gender-based online sexual harassment. Okay? Again, before I had a case whereby may kumalat na porn video sa mga porn site. Okay? Wala pang 11313 that time. I think that was 2017. So what I used was 10175 and 9262. Okay? To address the act of yung i-video and then pipili, tawag dyan, may kapalit yung parang ano yan eh. Kapag hindi mo to ginawa, i-upload ko yung video. Ganyan. So, there's an issue 9262, there's issue ISO 10175 then. But now, it can fall under 11313 alone. Right? Okay. Next. 113139775. I think this should refer also to the previous one in child pornography. But 9979775 is quite different in 11313. Why? Because 9775 focus on children. Alright? And child porn. Now, for this law of 9775, child can be anyone below 18 or above 18 as long as the person is incapable of taking care of themselves. In addition to that, if the person is portrayed as a child in the pornographic material, dito ka pupunta. But dito, sa 11313, strictly, it's on gender-based online sexual harassment. Okay. So synthesis po to of day 1, no? Kasi yun na lang po, tinapos lang po natin yung day 1, no? Last Monday. So ito po yung 4 laws that we have discussed. And I think by way of synthesizing, those who were only able to attend today will be able to catch up. Okay? So we have discussed 777, CHED Memorandum Order Number 1, Series of 2015, 2017 RACs, and 11313. So upon assessment, I can see that these are some of the salient points that we should consider when we approach these 4 laws. For 777, this is the first law that defines sexual harassment. No? You will see again, if those who are able to attend, no, that the definition is quite general. In fact, it's very long, right? And the requirement of authority, influence, and moral ascendancy is there. And it only mentioned about one typical example of sexual harassment whereby there's a demand, request, or requirement for sexual favor, if you remember, no? And there's no, we did not wait, no, for the recipient to respond because the act of demanding, requesting, or requirement for sexual favor is already the crime. Now, it was elaborated by way of CHED Memorandum Order Number 1, Series 2015, but by way of defining sexual harassment in the admin setup. Okay? Now, the good thing about this CHED memo is that, no, it also covered not only sexual harassment act, but also other sex offenses that are also defined under the law or under this specific provision. Okay? However, the coverage of CHED Memorandum Order Number 1, Series 2015 is, no, before or among HEIs. Okay? And in the workplace environment, in the civil service, there is this 2017 RACs, where there's a specific section about sexual harassment in government offices and also in public HEIs. And the most recent enactment is 11313, which we have discussed. Now, this time, sexual harassment has been enhanced by way of it being called gender-based sexual harassment in public spaces, gender-based online sexual harassment. There's also this qualified gender-based sexual harassment in public spaces and also qualified gender-based online sexual harassment. Apart from it, again, reiterating the provisions in 777 for workplace and training or education-related sexual harassment. Okay, apart from reiterating, and I think there are several enhancements or improvements, no, that were put into law under 11313. Now, penalties. In 777, this is a criminal act. So the penalty is imprisonment and or fine. Di ba? Remember, imprisonment only for 1 month to 6 months and a fine of 10,000, 20,000 pesos. Now, this law do not consider the number of offenses. Di ba? The mere act is already a crime, like that. Now, in CHED Memorandum Number 1, 2015, there are consideration of the offenses. Same with RACs. Same with 11313. Only, no, pertaining to gender-based sexual harassment in public spaces. Remember? Di ba yung catcalling, yung wolf whistling, first offense, second offense, third offense. Meron siyang ganon. But, no, in gender-based online sexual harassment, in qualified, no, gender-based sexual harassment, those harassment happening in workplace or training, okay? And those harassment that happening in education-related sexual harassment, wala pong number of offenses yan. Tapusin ko lang po, ma'am, tong slide before I can respond, ma'am Susan, okay? All right. Now, 777, authority, influence, and moral ascendancy is required, no? But in all other laws, it's not required. That is required in 777, but in all others, in CMO, in RACs, in 11313, these are not anymore required. 777, duties of employer are general. In fact, dalawa lang. Di ba? Create a CODI. And second, create a procedure. Yun lang yun. Okay? Walang duties ng co-employees. Now, sa CMO, naka-specify ang duties na yan. Alright? And in fact, there's this specific section, I forgot the section number, no? But stating that those who have personal knowledge of the sexual harassment can file a case. Nakalagay po yan doon. No? Sa RACs po, wala nakalagay na gano'n. Na-specify ang duties ng agencies, ang dami. Alright? May CODI, may ganito, may ganyan. pero walang duties ng co-employees. In 11313, both duties of the employers are specified, and there are duties also of co-employees. You remember? Okay. Representation of the CODI, no? Sa 777, although there is a mandate of a CODI creation, the representation is not specified. Ibig sabihin, head and members can be of any sex, of any gender for that matter. Now, sa CMO, nakaspecify, okay, ng kaunti. Kung sino ba dapat? Dapat may one, at least one from the admin, union, ganyan, no? Dito naman sa education, at least one from the teaching, non-teaching. Alright. Pero head and members can be of any sex. Sa RACs, ganun din. Halos it is the same with what is provided for in CHED memo. Okay? Head and members can be of any sex. Now, sa 11313, nakaspecify po talaga yung composition. Almost same po yung dalawa in workplace and education related. Ang kaibahan lang po, in CODIS, in education related environment, there is this additional section about adequate representation based on SOGI. I remember one asked that question a while ago. May nakalagay po doon. As compared sa workplace, wala po nakalagay doon na ganun. Okay? Now, the head is required to be a woman, and at least 50% of its members are women. So, I think these are some of the highlights na talk about the similarities, differences, and how these laws are interplaying with one another in connection to sexual harassment, which is very important. Which is very important for you as HEIs to know. Okay. So now to answer the question, all right. Nako, sorry po, naka-private message po pala to. Anyway, the question was, attorney, which one is stronger, ARA or CHED memorandum? It's a good question, no? Okay, I think the it should not be what's stronger, so what covers, no, the HEIs. When it comes to being stronger, we have this hierarchy of laws, no, that RAs are much higher in level, no, as compared to executive orders and in that matter. But I think what the issue here is what covers or what governs, no, the HEIs. RAs are what you call general laws. Okay? CMOs and RACs are what you call specific laws. Okay? So when you see the interplay of general specific laws, the specific laws should be the ones to be considered. But of course, it's still by the general law. Alright? Specific laws, why? Because CMO covers HEIs. May it be a public or a private one. Correct? So it's specific to that specific sector. Alright? So it should be complied with by that sector, guided by the provisions of the general law. Okay? Nagkakaroon ng problema niyan before nung wala pang 11313. Specifically, I think I have this seminars, no, whereby attorney, sa CMO nakalagay doon pwede ang peer-to-peer. Sa 7877, na requirement doon may authority influence sa moral ascendancy. Paano yan? Anong babangga? The answer really is that the specific law will govern because it's a specific law. Alright, but now, if we will look at the general law that now governs the specific law, which is RA 11313, for that specific question, no, tama na, wala nang kontra. Kasi in both laws, in 11313, authority influence moral ascendancy is not anymore required. Same with CMO number 1, series of 2015. Alright? Yun po. So, hierarchy, mataas pong RAs. Pero when you talk about the applicability, I think the specific laws should be the ones to consider, not the general laws. But they should be guided by general laws. Now, dahil nga po 777 ay medyo, hindi naman siya expressly repealed by 11313. But no, we should look at it in the manner by which the provisions are really enhanced. No? The provisions are really improved. And there's RA 11313 to guide the specific laws that are now in place, that were previously in place as well. Okay. Question. Attorney, would it suffice to have one CODI that is for the system as our university's 5 satellite campuses in major campuses, or kailangan ba yung campus yung CODI? Okay. First answer, hindi po yan required ng batas, no, na kung gaano karami. as long as may code. So I think it will really depend on the convenience and how you will be able to properly administer sexual harassment cases in your given campus, on your given cluster, or your given system. So siguro as needed, no, you just have to weigh whether it will be advantageous sa institution to have one or to have many. I have seen HEIs na meron sa per campus. I have seen also HEIs na isa lang na per system. So it's a case-to-case basis. I think the logical way on really determining whether it should be needed by campuses or only one is on how you will properly administer cases or handle cases for that matter. Kasi I think in some satellite campuses, hindi naman siguro marami. No? Meron pa ako nakita na naka-cluster eh. Nakalimutan ko ng school yun. Basta may clustering sila, no, na ginagawa. So it will really depend on how you will be able to administer or handle sexual harassment cases properly in compliance with what was provided for by the law. That there should be proper immediate action, that meron dapat 10 days na kailangan mag-study or mag-investigate yung CODI. Kung manageable naman po, walang binaviolate na batas, pwede naman po siguro isa lang. Pero kapag mas marami siguro, mas mangangailangan, pwede rin naman po na per campus. Wala pong sinasabi kasi yung law on how many eh. Wala po eh. But I think it will really boil down on how you will be able to properly comply with what the law provides for. Yun po. Okay, are there any questions which we can still thresh out before we proceed with the next part of the discussion? Are there any Facebook questions, Ma'am Lynn Rose? Hello?
None so far po, attorney. We're good. So we can proceed, I think.
I think I can answer one. I can see 144 participants, no, including me. 146 including me. So perhaps one or two can. Yeah. All right. Ito muna ang isa, ma'am, may nag-message po ng private. No? Ito muna pong kay Joey Marie. If the victim does not like to disclose the SH, but a friend who knows about it disclosed to the teacher, would it be okay for the teacher to file it? All right. Okay. So I think I can answer by way of stating that any person who has knowledge of the case will be able to file. All right. Now, if the teacher, upon disclosure, siguro baka pa nagtanong pa ulit siya kung pwede bang magtanong siya doon sa biktima. No? Nalaman niya, so meron siyang knowledge, pwede siyang i-file in behalf of the victim. But we're talking about filing. Filing lang po yan. But I think the victim should be there when there's already an investigation. Why? Kasi po, the victim is the main eyewitness of the incident. All right? It's the main eyewitness of the incident. He or she can directly point to the person, perpetrator, who did that to her or him, and also to elaborate on the actions that were committed. Kasi the teacher will now not be unable to or incompetent to properly respond to those questions. Kasi nga, the teacher only got knowledge by way of it being told to her or him or her. The one who has personal knowledge, who is also the eyewitness of the incident, of course, can properly elaborate on the case, leading to the finding that because there's a sufficient elaboration or the sufficient corroboration of what really happened, the CODI might rule in favor of the victim. Pero baka kasi po, hindi alam ng teacher yung tunay na pangyayari. The victim lang po kasi talaga alam po niya. Alam niyang ebidensya. Alam niya yung circumstansya. So talagang dapat mag-participate siya siguro. I'm talking from experience po, no? I have seen these kinds of cases na ganyan. Nag-dismiss po eh. Pero kasi pag yung victim talaga mismo, nag-participate yun, testified na siya talaga, ganitong ginawa niya, hinawakan niya itong ganito, etc. Ganito. Tapos po nun, umalis po ako. I think the teacher might be able to say those kinds of things. But for filing, it's provided for by the law. no, that the teacher can represent in behalf. Okay? But experience-wise, kailangan po talaga ng uh, participation ng victim kapag po may investigation na, specifically for interviews within the CODI. Yan po. The victim refused, so no case. Teacher said something about Pareto something. The victim refused, so no case. Pwede nga pong i-file. Alright? But there's a chance that it be dismissed. Malaking chance. Kasi nga, kulang sa witness kulang sa corroboration. No? Pareto something, Pareto, I think we're not bound with technical rules of evidence, no? So, yung pag-weigh mo ng ebidensya dyan, talagang for the appreciation lang po yan ng CODI members. But I strongly believe na kailangan talaga ng participation. Alright, based on experience attorney, what participant in CODI case na convicted found guilty? What percentage of CODI case convicted or found guilty yung suspect? At on the average, how long was the process procedure? Alright, okay. In my experience, no, mataas yung batting rate, no, ng nare-recommend ng CODI na guilty. Okay? CODI po ay recommendatory lang, no? So the guilty will be based on the finding of the disciplining authority. So if the question is how many or what percentage are recommended to be subjected to penalties, mataas po yan. So I think you can say safely na 80%. Okay? How long was ma'am, bound po tayo ng rules, no? We cannot make it, or we cannot have it for a very long time. So I think months will do. Wala po akong experience na umabot na taon. Okay? Meron po kasing specific rules which I will discuss later, no? Na makapag-bound po sa atin na hindi tayo pwede lumagpas. Okay? So it will be safer to say na hindi naman po umabot ng years. Wala po akong experience na umabot na sa taon. Wala po. Okay? Meron po ako naiwan na question. Geographical consideration, that's also one consideration. That's why I was mentioning that the code of conduct is contextual on the institution involved. Geographics can also be considered. Values, norms, traditions. May kanya-kanya po ang bawat HEI. So I think that should form part of the code of conduct when you are doing it. In fact, you should already have done it, no, as provided for by the law. Meron pa ba akong na-miss out? Okay. Ay, ito pa. Siguro this is the last one, no, before we proceed. You can ask pa po later, but in consideration of the time. Dalawa ba? Sige, I will answer two. First, from Ms. Sasha, is there a possibility that a case against the perpetrator be filed as civil case after that case reached 3 years? Okay, pwede po. Pwede po. No? There's a chance that the case against perpetrator can be filed as a civil case, no? Outside, even during. No? Pwede pa nga Alright? Pag civil case is more on the damages. No? You just have to prove that really, indeed, no, the kind of the harassment incident resulted to you being damaged monetarily. So there are monetary, when we talk about actual, may mga resibo tayo, no? Diba? Perhaps you have underwent psychological psychiatrist services, no, which you can produce. Yan, pwede yun. There can also be moral damages, no? Pero later pa yun upon the ruling of the case. Pero there can be damages. So there can be cases after, no? After accomplishment of the case in the institution. Meron po nag-message sa akin ng welcome po, Ma'am Sasha. Right, message from privately, hindi ko na po banggitin kung sino. What mechanisms that HEIs will employ to discover such cases? There might be many of these cases occurring, but pressures and threats, all right. I agree po dun sa sender. Talaga po, no, we're just referring with the recorded sexual harassment incidents, but there are a lot of unrecorded. The problem with the laws on sexual harassment that we have, maybe in the 4 laws that we have, no, is that it only activates upon filing cases. Ganun po talaga no? In fact, the start is a complaint. So in other words, the institution will only have an idea on what's really happening if someone acts on what happened. Alright? So siguro, sagutin ko ng vague, no? But perhaps create an enabling environment within your institution for victims to be encouraged to file cases. How can you do that? By awareness, by continuous development of trainings, no, on GST, on sexual harassment. Kasi admittedly, ma'am, kapag minsan I do lectures, no, noon sexual harassment, marami na-realize na naharas pala ako noon eh, no? So, naharas pala to, nangyari sa akin yung dati, hindi ko lang nagawa. Alright, so what can I still do? So, ganun lang po. Kasi all laws of sexual harassment are framed in a manner by which it can only be activated if someone files a complaint. Without any complaint, hindi po makaka-acto yung CODI. Ang acto ng CODI na lang is to support this kind of enable an environment whereby, no, victims can file cases. So as to discovering, yun po siguro, continuous staff development, continuous development of your students, awareness, IEC, awareness of the laws, sexual harassment provisions. If you have already your code of conduct, continuous trainings on this provisions of sexual harassment. Ganun po talaga eh. That way, students will be empowered, students will be able to be aware of their rights, no? Or staff and students will be aware of their rights, no? So the victims will be encouraged to file cases. Apart from that, ma'am, wala po eh. All laws are framed. In fact, the CODI has been framed to act only if there's a complaint. Yeah, yun po. Sad to say, no? Sad to say. As much as we would want to really eradicate this this ill reality, no? Specifically in academic institutions, for that matter, di ba? We're teaching what's right and wrong, no? But here it's present, it's lurking within our environments. Findings of investigation ng CODI can't be brought to court. We can, no? We can use that. That can be utilized as evidence, no? But we should maintain, no, confidentiality as to the identity and circumstances. So it will really depend on how you will be able to release that without violating the confidentiality rules. So perhaps change the name, ganyan po. Is there any statute of limitations in terms of filing cases, institutions, especially when the victim is now an alumni? Dito po sa both laws, wala po. In 7877, yung previous law, 3 years from the date of the commission. But when we talk about the specific laws of CHED Memo and RACS, wala po eh. Perhaps you can put that in the code of conduct, no? But dito naman, ma'am, general rule naman po yan, ma'am Miss Sasha, no? That if the incident happened while the perpetrator is still part of the institution, you can rule on that. Because the incident happened while he or she is still part of the institution. So perhaps you can, yun sa 11313, no? Yung discussion natin sa sexual harassment in education institutions, you can strip off the diploma. Pwede po yun. And the institution can strip off the diploma. The institution can hold the privileges for retirement, for example, clearances, or put a record of that kind of incident. No? Yun po yan. So as long as the incident happened while the perpetrator is still part of the institution, you have jurisdiction. Okay, it's just a matter on how you will be able to habol, no, the perpetrator upon finding of guilt of the disciplining authority. One is provided for in 11313, whereby institutions can strip off the diploma. The problem is if the perpetrator is an employee. So, swerte kung nag-clearance, pwede pang habulin. At least siguro may record of that incident, no, against that person. Ganun na lang po. So, else, labas na po ang institution. Criminal charges can be filed. Okay? Alright, dumami na ulit, no? But please allow me to proceed. Okay. Ayan, meron pa. Welcome po, Ma'am Sasha. Keep it coming. Okay. So, last week's assignment was this, no? That based on the laws that were discussed, you should be able to formulate 8 provisions that you would want to be included in your school manuals. No, I think one of the reasons why this webinar was made or tapped me is because at the end of the day, these provisions, including the procedural laws, the rules that I will be mentioning later, will be forming part of your code of conduct or school manuals. Now, it's very important that the legal basis or reasons should be there. Okay, because being the laws that were mentioned, general specific laws, should serve as the guiding light, no, on how you will be able to formulate your provisions. So I mentioned that there should be PowerPoint presentations, no, and that will be presented today. The presentations only be for 5 minutes so that I will be allowed or I can input. Okay, and of course the red marks the the red font marks the important part. I will be providing prices from yours truly. So presentation of outputs, yan po yan. Okay? 5 minutes, presentation 5 minutes for me to comment. All presenting, sorry hindi po SUCs, lahat po ito, HEIs will be given a prize. You can choose any. Una muna, free 1 hour legal consultation for any God-related issue concern of your HEI. Okay? Second, you may choose to have a free 1 hour webinar. No? Free 1 hour webinar po yan, no? On any God-related issue for institution. Kung gusto nyo matagal, libre po 1 hour. Okay. And lastly, I can give you a copy of my book. No? One copy lang po muna. No? Huwag nyo naman po i-Xerox. Okay. With dedication, no? Of me for your HEI. I think my book already reached Mindanao. So I hope that you were able to have grab a copy of this. All right. So I'm giving the floor back to Miss Lynn Rose for the PowerPoint presentations.
Thank
One.
you so much, attorney, and for entertaining the questions and for integrating the questions in your discussion. So if you have other questions, that's just the first part of attorney's input,
Yes.
and then we will continue the discussion after the
Allowed
presentation.
to stop share, para ano. All right.
Sige po. All right. So I think, as mentioned by attorney, we come to the part of presentations of the assignment, and we received a number of submissions from HEIs, and for on my list. So please let us know if we missed you and we missed your submission. Just inform our team. So we have USTP, we have MSU IIT, we have Bukidnon State University, we have Northwestern Mindanao State College of Science and Technology, we have MSU Naawan. And also, CMU also signified that they submitted, but we can't find your file. So if you be kindly, resend the file to the email indicated in the chat box, that would be very, very helpful. So like what is mentioned by our speaker, each presenter will have 5 minutes to present, and our team has provided like a timer just to be mindful with the time with the presentation. And then we'll have a feedbacking session after each presentation. And if you have comments related to the presentation, please feel free to write them down in the chat box as well. All right, so I think we're ready. And so we'll start with the University of Science and Technology of Southern Philippines in Cagayan de Oro, or USTP. And our presenter is the GAD focal person of the university, Ma'am Maria Teresa Fajardo. Is Ma'am Maria Teresa here? Yeah, I can see you. And may we request our team to show the PowerPoint. And Ma'am, I'm passing the virtual floor to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to Attorney Eric, no? And I also thank Dr. Natalie Igot for reminding me last night na may assignment pala. So I'm sorry if my work is not that very refined, attorney, no? But I just tried my best. And I also like to acknowledge our Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, Dr. Maria Angeles Hinosolango. She's here. And ma'am, this is our presentation. Okay, I am Maria Teresa M. Fajardo from USTP CDO. So next slide, please. So actually, I tried to look into 3 of our manuals. We have the student handbook, the faculty manual, and the graduate school handbook. So what you can see here is actually the table of contents for our student handbook that is revised, scheduled for revision for 2021. So you can see there we have code of conduct as mentioned by Attorney Eric. So probably this is also a good place to start and putting in information about sexual harassment and what is expected, especially on keeping a safe space for everyone. So next slide, please. That's also the other articles now that we can consider about complaints and all. Next slide. So I'm thankful that the university had appended already the entire material for sexual harassment. No, so it's found in the appendix of the student handbook, and also in the faculty manual. So we have chapter 6 here, moral duty of the university to the community. So just for the kasi 8 provisions yung kailangan ng assignment. So I think that if I could include there or propose an inclusion of a statement on the commitment of the university to uphold a safe environment for everyone. So that will be a good moral duty. And I put there Republic Act 11313 because the university can also be a public space or a public place, no? Aside from its training or teacher education institute. Next slide. So we also have Title 3 for the student rights. So we have here different rights that we try to, really give prime importance. The next slide. So ito yung example how the rights now of the students are actually articulated. So next slide. So I thought of adding, sir, attorney, a provision on sexual harassment, probably chapter 9 for that matter, and having this statement that students have the right to be protected from all forms of sexual harassment. Assistance shall be provided, and mechanisms are in place to ensure that the students are informed, protected, and provided with due process. So, kaso lang yung reference ko yata is 7877. I should include there CMO1 series of 2015 and then RACS 2017, no? Because we are a government institution for higher learning. Next slide. Nilagyan ko din ng yung safe space attorney kasi iba yung pagkaano ko sa sexual harassment. Kasi dito sa safe space can be both virtual and non-virtual, no? That students should have the right to be provided with the learning space that is safe and conducive for learning. Students involved in gender-based harassment shall be protected through confidentiality and provided with remedies and psychological counseling. So I just called some important points from the law that should be there. I'm not sure if that is duplicating the chapter 9, but I thought of really putting that two side by side because it's a good way of including that in the programs and projects for the offices like the Office of the Student Affairs and the Office of Gender and Development for that matter, and also academic affairs. Next slide. So there's a norm of conduct, chapter 3 in the student handbook for the undergrad ito. So I thought of adding a sentence, no, or an expectation for our student that they should also be gender sensitive and would advocate for an environment free from any form of gender-based harassment. So parang ganun. So I want that to be like a full statement that it is a required conduct for all students in the university. Next slide. So in the student handbook, there is a non-academic grave offenses, no? We already included their sexual assault in the form of acts of lasciviousness or attempted or consummated rape. At saka nakalagay na sa appendix yung policy and guidelines on sexual harassment. Automatically, the first offense is expulsion. So, parang gusto ko siyang attorney, parang i-stretch into a conduct of sexual nature and other conduct based on sex affecting the dignity of a person, which is unwelcome, unreasonable, and offensive to the recipient, whether done verbally, physically, or through the use of technology such as text messaging or electronic mail or through any forms of information and communication system. But I'm really confident that the appendix had already captured all of this. Parang gusto ko lang siya talaga para mas klaro doon sa magbabasa nito. So next slide please. So ito yung namin, yung mga nakalagay sa appendices. So nandoon na si policy and guidelines on sexual harassment. Next slide. Ito yun, I just screenshot some of the anong nakalagay, that there's the RA 7877, the policy statement. Next slide. Nandoon na din yung definition. Next slide. At saka yung coverage. Next slide pa din. At saka yung yung mga penalty, no, or if ever you are going to be accused, no, or what could be the the things that can be considered as sexual harassment. So, na-mention na din si yung under what section of the 2017 rules and administrative cases in the civil service, that's the RAC. So parang nakalagay na doon, attorney, sa student handbook yung reference, no, legal basis for the provisions in the handbook. So next slide. Ito yung mga parang kompleto naman ang tiningnan ko kagabi. Next slide. So yung lang, yung graduate program manual namin, wala po siya. So probably a provisions to include and also append in the provisions for the prevention of sexual harassment, just like what we did with the undergraduate. Yun lang sana ang i-recommend ko sa USTP administration. And our special gratitude to the Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Elena Paulma, for leading this initiative, no, in making sure that our manuals are all updated. Next slide. Next slide, please. So, ito yung faculty manual. Next slide. Next slide, ma'am. Nakalagay na din doon, attorney, naka-appendix 2 siya. Yung policy and guidelines on sexual harassment, exactly how it was stated in the student manual or handbook. Next slide. So, yun lang po. Plano ko sana ipakita yung tatlong manual at saka nasaan talaga doon nakalagay, pero 5 minutes lang po eh. So, thank you so much for listening to me. Good afternoon again.
Sige, Ma'am Lynn Rose.
Go ahead, attorney.
All right,
Yes.
thank you, USTP for that presentation. No? Allow me please to provide comments. No? Okay. All right. I would like to congratulate the institution for highlighting safe environment and safe spaces. No, this is actually in line with what RA 11313 provides. No, maganda po yung na-provide niyo po doon. And also by being gender inclusive in the kind of provisions that you're having, specifically by accommodating he or she. Okay po yun. Okay, some things that I notice also should also, as a way of a suggestion po, you can update your legal foundations, no, specifically in Chapter 9. Now, we already have the RA 11313, which really I think is a good law, is a better law, no, than RA 777. So just update it. I think your appendix is also based on the RA 777. So kindly update it by focusing or by basing the appendix and Chapter 9 kanina under RA 11313. Okay po. Also, you showed a slide on the grave offense on sexual assault, no? So, siguro sa ibang offenses, baka po magkaroon pa tayo ng other acts, no? Hindi lang po sexual assault. Kasi yung sexual assault is just a little part of really sexual harassment, no? Kasi pag sexual assault is really focusing on a forced sexual encounter, etc. Pero yung pong mga verbal, yung physical behavior, no? You mentioned, ma'am, that you will add yung conduct, no? Just also refer to the second definition of sexual harassment under 11313 pertaining to any other physical or verbal behavior, not only on yung conduct kanina. The reference to RACS is also good, no, that you referred to when you talk about the offenses. Kasi you will notice that the general laws do not have the offenses as well as the CMO. So it's good that you refer to the 2017 RACS as to the offenses and the kinds of offenses and the corresponding penalties. Hindi ko lang nakita yung extent nung pag-base sa RACS, no? Pero I believe that grave, light, pati yung less grave offenses are already covered following Section 51. All right, yun po. Congratulations. No? I hope that my suggestions will matter to your manuals. Thank you po, Ma'am Hino Solango and Ma'am Fajardo. Salamat po.
All right. Thank you, Attorney, and thank you, Ma'am Teresa Fajardo and Dr. Hinosilango as well for the presentation. And the time limit might be very kind of limiting, but if you would check the chat box, our tech team is actually reminding everyone for the time limit. We'll chat you if there's last 1 minute, just to be mindful and to wrap up your presentation. We want to do it as non-violently as possible, right? So, and if you wish to discuss more your presentation, you can use the 1 hour consultation with attorney as one of your prizes for the more, like a detailed discussion of your presentation. But thank you again. That was a University of.
Paano po nila ma-avail yung prize? Sa inyo na lang po mag-coordinate.
Okay, yes, attorney will help facilitate that. That's noted. So that was the University of Science and Technology of Southern Philippines, Cagayan de Oro City. A virtual applause for the team. And now we're going to the next presenter, Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology, and the presentation will be presented by the Acting Director of the Office of the Student Development Services of the Institute, Associate Professor Sasha Ann Valdez. Ma'am Shaan, you're here. Okay, I can see you on screen, and may we request for the presentation?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Go ahead.
I might not be able to comprehensively deliver or share what I would want to share for the institute, especially because I am in front of a highly esteemed speaker in the person of Attorney Eric, but I will try very, very hard to make it, as comprehensive as it should be. So thank you very much for the talk, Attorney, and for answering all the questions that have been raised, especially by me. I would just like to share some of the things that we have done before I proceed to the provisions that you have asked. The Mindanao State University, MSU IIT, has already instituted since 2000, as far back as I could find with regards to the IIT documents. I was able to find that since 2005, there was already the creation of the Committee on Decorum and Investigation. Recently, we have been renewed again with a special order as stated here, and we are the chairperson, the current chairperson since 2020 is in a person, is a woman, and as well as the vice person who happens to be me is also a woman. And then most of the members, not all, but more than 50% of the members of the Committee on Decorum and Investigation are women. So next slide, please. The committee has instituted the following, which includes posted on the official website of CODI related pictures to help the Institute's program to fight campus predators, posted the contact information of CODI, which included the email, landline, cell phone numbers, official pages, and everything else. And emails have been sent out to the members of the CODI, as well as the administrative offices, the OPI, colleges, deans, student organizations on the contact information of CODI. Talks about CODI during general assemblies, especially those of student assemblies, and emails are regularly checked by me, especially for the CODI email, and meetings have been conducted by the committee, and reports have also been submitted to the administration as well as CHED. We work hand in hand closely with the Office of the Guidance and Counseling, or the OJC, especially with having to have the students or the complainants be processed before we proceed with the investigation, because we have to be also mindful in terms of having to be able to know the mindset of especially the students. Next slide, please. Here's a picture of our chancellor and the contact information. This has been shared online and has been also shared to the various offices. Next slide, please. The chairperson of the CODI has shared the following. We have this institutionalized in MSU IAT, and since we are a government institution, we are a government agency. We are mandated to follow all civil service regulations, circulars, etc., released by civil service. So, with regards to having the provisions of sexual harassment, the compositions, the functions of the CODI is compliant with the CMO number 26 series of 2003, as well as Republic Act 11313, as well as CMO number 1 series of 2015. So I will not read everything because this is included, especially in the 2017 rules on administrative cases in the civil service. So I would like to, okay lang po ba, attorney, that I will not read all, but I would just like to highlight some of the things that I would like to highlight, especially of what we are currently doing. With regards to the student handbook, it's already stated, especially in chapter 10 of the student handbooks on section 10.4, students' rights against sexual harassment. The student handbook has already been board approved recently as of last year, and the Committee on Admission, Registration, and Scholarship, in close hand with our office, the Office of Student Development Services, are still in the process of having to incorporate some of the new provisions that we would like to incorporate with the student handbook, especially with having to consider RA 11313, and also having to include in the handbook not only just the processing of complaints, of the other complaints of the students, but also having to the basic procedure of having for them to lodge a complaint or file a complaint against a person or persons in the institution. So which was not stated in the student handbook per se. I actually joined the office since the middle of 2019, and the student handbook at the time was already for board approval. So I would like to include, so with the CODI, the provisions we would like to include, given that there are new Republic Acts and CMOs that should be included. But basically, even if it's not yet in the student handbook, as well as in the faculty and the employees handbook, we are still practicing in terms especially of having to deal with the cases we have so far in the institution. I will not elaborate if we did and we are processing, but we are actually doing it per se. So can I ask po that we go to the I think slide number 20? Please, slide number 20. There are some more. So this is actually based on 2017 RAC. So the following pictures that you will be able to see are some of those that we have posted online and we have already shared. Next slide, please. Next. Yep. For finals, I would like to inform everyone that the employees and students of MSU IIT has undergone GST, which is required, and strict confidentiality when processing cases, especially with CODI. We work close consultations with the Office of Guidance and Counseling for processing of student complaints. And we are very proactive and we are willing to evolve, especially that the perpetrators nowadays have also evolved in terms of their ways and means of harassing. The close consultations with the Office of the Guidance and Counseling is very important for us because we further victimize the already victims if we do not process them well. So we also seek help or do consultations with experts, especially with with having to deal with online harassments. Currently, in the student handbook, it does not indicate how we would process online harassments and even text messages from harassers. So we would like to incorporate that with the student handbook, not only with the student handbook, but also the employees handbook. So I would like also to inform that the current, we do have a member, two members that are also lawyers in the CODI. So in terms of having to really have to ask for, um, having to have experts, we do have experts in the Committee on Decorum and Investigation. So the willingness for us to evolve is to improve the basic provisions governing our code of conduct, especially with our constituents. Thank you very much. And I would like to share that here is to fearless women. I hope you can see the picture. No, yeah. If you can see if you can also see the t-shirt that I'm wearing here, to fearless women, may we know them, may we be them, and may we raise them. So thank you very much in behalf of Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you po, Ms. Sasha, no, for that very good presentation. So I think I would just like to congratulate MSU IIT for all the efforts that you done and are actually doing, and what you will do, no, in the near future. Basically, I think the impression is that, no, the CODI is really proactive, no, in dealing with sexual harassment cases. I think that's only one perspective also that we should focus on. Not only is CODI really focused on just investigating and resolving. Take note that the CODI should also be in the forefront, no, of providing for awareness campaigns, no, of doing anti-sexual harassment seminars, no, and the like, no. So it is really commendable that apart from really being proactive, no, they also put it into by way of IEC materials being posted. So I think these materials are posted strategically. Siguro baka may sa website pa po ninyo, ma'am, ano? And yon. So I think one commendable part of Ma'am Sasha's presentation is that the focus on how they are coordinating, no, with the OGC or the Office of the Guidance Counseling. So seldom kasi that other institutions tend to forget, no, that there are other established mechanisms in the respective institutions that we can tap. All right? So apart from it, no, meron pa pong yung psychosocial aspect of sexual harassment, which should also be form part in the response mechanisms when we talk about sexual harassment cases. And ano na lang siguro, Ma'am Sasha, no, just tuloy nyo na lang po yung efforts to include about issues on the online sexual harassment na sabi niyo po ay gagawin po ninyo. Kasi, well, online sexual harassment is a tricky thing, no? The internet, again, provides for a cloak, no, or a shadow, some sort of a cloak of anonymity. So it's very hard to really point, no, na ikaw talaga yung perpetrator kasi ikaw yung gumawa niyan, even though you're some sort of a cloak, no, provided for by the internet. So may abogado naman po kayo sa CODI. So I think the lawyers will be able to give light, no, on these kinds of incidents. No, it's very hard to really convict, no, someone or to recommend that the person is guilty by way of proof or evidence in the internet. No? Yun kasi po yung problema sa internet. Meron pong anonymity aspect yan. No?
With verifications.
Yes po, napapalit ng account, may mga fake account, it's very hard to verify. No? So, but again, we're only dealing, as CODI members, no, we're only dealing with the administrative part. So the quantum of evidence is just substantial evidence. No? So, hindi po yan katulad ng ebidensya sa criminal part, no? Which is quite harder. No? Kasi it would appear to be na, kaya ikaw yung mapaparusahan kasi ikaw talaga yan. No? Nagawa niyan. Pero pag may internet kasi, medyo nagkakaroon ng problema doon. So, Ma'am Sasha, apart from adding the provisions of 11313, baka perhaps you can add more addressing the issue of the anonymity part, no, of perpetrators and their kind of actions using the online platforms that we have. So yun po, all in all, it's the MSU IAT is commendable, no, in their efforts. Not only did they focus on investigating cases, but also their efforts to serve as the, no, really parang catalyst talaga in their agency, no, to lead, no, in eradicating sexual harassment incidents in their institution. So congratulations.
Our only challenge nowadays is having to assure the complainants that the case will actually prosper.
Same din po sa amin sa UPLB kasi ang hirap po ng sitwasyon ngayon. And also pala, Ma'am Sasha, if I may add, no, baka pwedeng siguro personal suggestion to, idagdag po natin yung retaliatory mechanisms, no. Nakalagay naman po sa 11313 yan that the victim should be protected there should be retaliatory actions, no. Yan, baka managdag po natin yan alongside yung pong ating provisions regarding online sexual harassment. Okay, so with that, congratulations again. Maraming salamat. Thank you po.
Right. Thank you, Attorney, and also thank you to the Acting Director of the Office of the Student Development Services of MSU IIT. Thank you for the presentation, and just a gentle reminder for the time, please be mindful so that we'll have more time for the feedbacking and you will have time to respond as well. You will hear an alarm once your time is up. I hope that is not too violent for everyone. Now we go to Bukidnon State University and we have Dr. Marichu Montesilio, the GAD focal person of BUCSO, to present their output. Ma'am Marichu, the virtual floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I heard?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I will be presenting the provisions on sexual harassment and other related sexual offenses. Actually, these provisions are left out from the policy on the establishment on CODI that we have, and also the policy on sexual harassment. Next slide, please. Okay, so for our rule number 1, we have sexual harassment and other related sexual offenses. We have the policy standards where here we made mention that we anchor our sexual harassment policy and Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995. That's RA 7877, but our CODI policy is yet to be revised because of the Safe Spaces Act. Actually, we are actually trying to revise, but we're just still we are waiting for the guidelines from CHED for the what do you call this one, guidelines on the implementation of the Safe Spaces Act in HAIs. Just I think way back, if I'm not mistaken, late 2020, we have a cascading of the guidelines by the CHED from the national office. So we're waiting for that to come out, and then after that, we will be integrating the guidelines that will be released by the CHED in our own policy as well. By the way, for our Committee on Decorum and Investigation, our CODI actually have adhered already to the IRR of the Safe Spaces Act. We have woman as our head, and we also have more than 50% of the CODI members are women. And also, we also have a lawyer. The vice chair of the code is a lawyer to ensure that there is a proper treatment to every cases that we will be accepting as a part that will be under CODI cases. And also, we also have these policies, and that is already setting, and it's effective already since we have this since 2018. So we have it anchored on Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. And then next slide, please. Aside from that, we also have the Civil Service Memorandum MCs, and also our DOLE IOs, our RA 8353 and our RA 8505 as our anchor for this policy. Next. Okay, so in our policy, we actually explicitly present in our policy that retaliation in any form against any person, against the person directly or indirectly involved in any incident, report, or case involving sexual harassment shall be ground for disciplinary action. So the ones that Attorney Eric a while ago has mentioned, that you have to put the provision on retaliation, we already have that put in place in our policy. And this rule applies to all officials and employees of Bukidnon State University, whether in career and non-career services and holding any level position of Bukidnon State University. Next slide, please. Okay, so in section 2, we have CODI and the functions. I think these are also lifted out from the different anchors that we have, the legal mandates that we have from CODI. That's RA 7877 and also Safe Spaces Act. And then next slide. We also have the composition of CODI. Next. And then the different definitions of sexual harassment lifted out again from ROCS. Next. So we have the different definition. Actually, these are lifted out from the different legal anchor that we have. Next. Definitions. Again, can we proceed to section 5? Okay, section 5, we also have provision for the location where sexual harassment may take place, and that would be subject or covered by the CODI. Section 6, we have next page. These are the forms of sexual harassment. And then section 7, we have persons liable for sexual harassment. So we have provisions for this. And also for section 8, we have assistance to complainants. So here we have provision that the treatment for victims of alleged sexual victim of sexual harassment may include, they will have guidance, spiritual counseling, they will have referral to an agency offering professional help and coordination with women's organization and advocacy group. And also, aside from that, it's not only the alleged victim that will be offered with a psychological intervention, but also Bukidnon State University, they also provide professional counseling to the alleged offender, if so decide. We also have that in our provision for our sexual harassment and other sexual harassment offenses. So I think that would be all for Bukidnon State University. Again, these are all provisions lifted out from our policy in sexual harassment and sexual harassment related cases.
Thank you, Ma'am Marichu. Okay, I would like to congratulate Bukidnon State University for providing a very good presentation as to their provisions or policies on sexual harassment. No? I would like to also to commend you for providing already the retaliatory mechanisms. Also by in your CODI, you relied on the CHED memo by having 5 functions. That's good. Persons liable, very good that you accommodate the provisions in the in CMO and also in the RACS, by stating that not only is the one who participated in the incident shall be liable, but also those who cooperated, who induced, etc. And also, it's really commendable that you also added yung assistance to complainants. No? All right, let me add some suggestions. No? Ma'am, i-update na po natin yung ating legal foundations, no? Kasi it will really affect not only I think it will affect all the sections of your policies. In fact, the definition of sexual harassment is hindi na po yan updated. The updated one is that is what is provided for in RA 11313. Okay po. So, yun po, dagdag po natin yon. And then, I noticed lang dun sa inyong policies that it only covers officials and employees. We must note, ma'am, na dapat involved din po yung students. Because they can be also the harassers, no, for sexual harassment incidents. So, idagdag din po natin yun. Yun po. So perhaps also, if I may add, no, we can also, if you will notice yung code of conduct natin kanina, baka pwede masama rin po natin. No? Siguro for everyone na rin po. No? Ngayon ko lang po kasi naalala lahat-lahat. Yung every presentation is different eh. But of course, I think it will apply to all. Yun po ma'am, about our prohibitions or liabilities for our partner OJTs. I think you're already there no kanino when I'm discussing about code of conduct, no, baka pwedeng maisama po natin yan that our partner OJTs and even our concessionaires can be held liable for sexual harassment acts that they are performing against students or against employees of Buksu for that matter. Okay, so dagdag po natin yon kasi it will be very helpful para po pag nangyari ang ganong insidente ay hindi po tayo lost gagawin natin dito, di ba? Kasi meron na pong inclusion sa ating policies in our respective institution. So in the legal foundations again, we should update it. We should not only base it only on 777. We can base it to the 4 basic laws that I have discussed a while ago. We can add further like what you did kasi you added dun sa basis ninyo yung RA 353 or the crime of or the law of the anti-rape law, no? If you will do that, i-add nyo na rin po lahat like yung RA 9262, RA 10175, RA 977, yung nabanggit ko po kanina. But the very basic laws that should be utilized as a reference for sexual harassment incidents are the 4 laws that I mentioned. Yun po. So with that, thank you again. Maraming salamat po for presenting. And again, I commend Buksu for having this kind of policy. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Attorney.
Thank you, Attorney, and thank you, Dr. Monticelio, the GAD focal person of Bukso, for that presentation. And now we're going to NMSCST, Northwestern Mindanao State College of Science and Technology, and we have their legal affairs coordinator of their college, Ms. Shandy Ordaga, to present the output of the university. Ma'am, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will be presenting this afternoon the output for Northwestern Mindanao State College of Science and Technology. Since we are only given 5 minutes to present, I will be very comprehensive and short, and I will just like to inform everybody that we already have in our school a handbook for anti-sexual harassment. So we have drafted this a long time ago and has been already approved by the Board of Trustees of the school. However, we have to add provision which is very timely and which is very relevant because this webinar has existed already, and we have to inject new provisions that are helpful in the handbook for anti-sexual harassment. So we will start with section 4 of the RA 7877. During the drafting of our anti-sexual harassment handbook of the school, we have failed to accommodate section 4, which is the duty of the employer or the head of office in a work-related or education or training environment, which we have learned from this webinar that is very important. We believe that the duty of an employer is, or the head of the agency or the head of the office is very, very important when it comes to implementing the rules of law in this anti-sexual harassment handbook. So we also included section 5, which is the liability of the employer or the head of office in any educational or training institution should he or she fail in including this provision or RA 7877 in the handbook for anti-sexual and harassment handbook. We also included section 7 of RA 7877. We also failed to accommodate this one, which is very, very important and timely. We believe that the penalties should be implemented so that the laws will have its pangil, or how do we say this one? Para po magkaroon ng pangil yung batas namin sa paaralan, we have to inject penalties. We failed, or we failed to accommodate this one in our handbook because nobody actually in any institution or any educational institution is hoping that any anti-sexual act will be committed. So moving on, we also have included section 3A of RA 11313, which is catcalling. This is a recent law, so we have also failed to accommodate this all this one in our handbook, which has been already drafted a long time ago. So it is very self-explanatory already, and I believe that it is one of the laws or the provision that will protect the rights of the LGBTQI community in every educational institution. So we also included section 3F, gender identity and or expression, that refers to personal sense of identity as characterized, among others, by manner of clothing, inclinations. So as I've said, this is one of the provisions that will really protect the rights of any LGBTQI member in any educational institution. We also included section 4, gender-based street and public spaces sexual harassment, which we believe that educational institution is one of the public spaces that we are referring to. So we have to include that one. And we also have here Article 2.4, which is gender-based streets on public, like we have said, educational institution under its educational premises is included in any public spaces. So we have to protect everybody inside the school premises. And Article 1, Section 11, specific acts and penalties. So once again, we have to include penalties para magkapangil po ang batas namin sa school. And Article 2, Section 12, which is gender-based online sexual harassment. Especially nowadays that the pandemic is here, lahat po ng nangyayari sa atin sa paaralan is online based. So therefore, we have to protect everyone from the school, not just the employees, but also the students when it comes to sexual harassment that are based online. Thank you so much po for your time. That's all. And magandang hapon po.
Hey, thank you, Ma'am Chris, for that presentation. No? Just follow through na lang po dun sa ating pag-update ng ating laws. No? Pag-update ng ating manuals in connection to RA 11313, like what you were mentioning. Special provision can be on yung gender-based sexual harassment in workplace and gender sexual harassment in education, training, related environment in connection to GBOSH na binanggit niyo po kanina, and yung gender-based sexual harassment in public spaces. So all in all, I think 11313 is the perfect basis for your updating of your school policies. Yun po. Maraming salamat po, ma'am. Okay, so siya na po. Medyo iklihan ko na yung comments ko kasi there are other presenters. No? Salamat po.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Chandy Ordaga, the Legal Affairs Coordinator of the college. Now we go to the next presenter. We have MSU Naawan, and we have here a faculty member of the Department of Social Sciences and Humanities of the College of Education and Social Sciences of the university. We have Sir Patre Dagapioso. Sir, over to you.
Hi, hello, good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, so this afternoon I'm going to present our proposed CODI because the CODI of Emission Awan is we already have organized a CODI, but some of our members of our CODI we are not following what is actually on the recent laws such as 11313, and we are on the process of reorganizing our CODI, and also um, we are also at the moment we don't have a CODI of our own. So today's seminar workshop and last week's Monday's seminar workshop is very instructive to us in Emission Awan, and all from the CODIs presented from Emission IIT, USTP, and Bukidnon State University. They're very helpful, no, for us to form our own CODI. But nevertheless, these are the proposed some of the proposed provisions that we would like to be included in our own CODI. So first one, we have the training seminar of faculty and non-teaching staff and administrators of the understanding and to prevent incidents of sexual harassment, gender-based streets, public space, online sexual harassment, and gender-based sexual harassment in educational and training institutions yearly. The basis for this provision is RA 7877 and RA 1313. Also, we have the train, seminar, and do orientation of students on the understanding and to prevent incidents of sexual harassment and gender-based streets, public space, online sexual harassment, and gender-based sexual harassment in educational and training institutions every semester. Third, we also propose to have a emotional, financial, and support mechanism and policy for victims of gender-based sexual harassment. Fourth, we're going to create an online mode of anonymous reporting of any acts of gender-based sexual harassment, and this will be subjected to vetting by the CODI. Fifth, we're going to assign a person to specifically receive complaints of gender-based sexual harassment, because though we do have a CODI, we don't have a specific person that would receive complaints of gender-based sexual harassment in our school. So the basis for this is RA 1313, Rule 7 and Section 25 of the RRR. Six, we also have to do or create a grievance procedures that enables the filing of complaints by students, staff, and faculty members, and this must be posted publicly in the university or even in our website. Our basis for this is in Rule 7 of Section 27 of the IRR. Seventh, we also have we have also proposed that the school's CODI should be composed of one representative from the administration, the faculty, the students, the parents, and from the representative of peoples with diverse GSC. This is also this is very inviting because we are also planning not only to base our CODI on RA 11313 and also with the original Sexual Harassment Act, but also with the Anti-Discrimination Ordinance, because Naawan, of which Emission Naawan is situated, already passed an Anti-Discrimination Ordinance for the recognition of GSC of people. So we're going to apply also the local law into our school's CODI. And lastly, and if a CODI member is connected, or we're going to apply this one in our proposed CODI, if a CODI member is connected or related to the alleged perpetrator within the fourth degree of consanguinity or affinity, he or she or they must inhibit from participating in any part of the proceedings. Our basis for that is Rule 8, Section 33 of the IRR for 11313. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Professor Dagapioso. Maraming salamat po for the very brief and concise but very good presentation. No? Allow me just to commend the Ms. Yunaawan for highlighting the provisions on irregular training. No? It's very important that there will be regular training or seminars on sexual harassment. Basically, the participants are the constituents of your university. So it's very good that you will do it regularly. ano po, if I may suggest, no, perhaps you can do also this kinds of seminars yung sa mga entry. Papasok yung employee, they will be already aware of the provisions, no. Papasok yung mga estudyante, they will also be aware, no. So entry, during, yun po yung mahalaga eh, pagpasok, and then while they are in the university. Second is about the support, no. I commend the institution for suggesting this, but ang question ko lang yung financial kasi I don't know if you have budget allocations for this, but if there is, then siguro you can, no. Kasi the law only provides for I think yung mga psychosocial support that siguro from the impression that is given to me, free, no. Pero sa financial aspect, perhaps you can suggest, no. Also, I would like to commend yung pag-provide nyo ng online platform as a way upon which students can file complaints. This is very useful, especially nowadays that we are in a remote learning setup. So it's very good that you accommodated it. On Section 6, just make sure that the public there includes the online platform again for your grievance procedures. And on your item number 7 about the CODI, it's very good that you accommodated the representation from other members of the or represented yung mga SOGI, yung people representing various SOGI. But just make sure that the provisions of the law that the head should be a woman and that 50% of the composition should be women should always be complied with. Right, so very good, no? The bases are very clear and the provisions are short and sweet. Congratulations,
Thank you, sir.
Professor. Okay.
Thank you, attorney, and thank you also to our presenter. I apologize if I mislabeled the presenter earlier, but that was Professor Pat Ray Dagapioso, faculty member of MSU Naawan. Thank you so much. And now we're down to the last presenter for the presentation of assignments. We have from the Central Mindanao University, and we have the UCGA director, Dr. Hazel Marie R. Boloron, to present their output. Ma'am, over to you po.
Good afternoon to everyone. Can I have the PowerPoint presentation?
It's up na po. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for a while. Okay. Good afternoon once again. Actually, at Central Mindanao University, we do have existing committee on decorum and investigation manual. Now, we had it crafted many years ago and was revised way back 2013. And from there, as we go through, where's the slide? As we go through it, we found that quite a number of provisions that have to be amended. Okay. Can I have the next slide? This is actually, okay, so this is the content of our CODI, and it has actually 14 rules in there. And from this, we found out that, can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so in here, we found out that in Rule 6, Section 9, the committee of CODI that we had actually composed of 5, no? It is represented by the VP for Administration, Director of the Office of the Student Affairs, and we do have the President for the Faculty Association, and then the President of the Employees Association, and we had one representative, the President for the Student Council. Now, from there, as we go through with RA 113, which states that the CODI shall be headed by a woman and half of its members shall be women. Now, from this, actually, with this existing components, with this existing committee on decorum that we have, none actually, there's no woman in here, and so that's one thing that we have to work out, no, recommended for amendment. And then another one is can we have the next slide, please? Then, okay, from here, still on section 9, we found out that these whatever records that we have, the records are actually in place at the chairperson's office, which is actually the BPA, the Vice President for Administration's office. It was placed in there to actually observe confidentiality. And from there, that has again have to be improved, recommended for amendment because of RA Rule 7 of RA 11313 states that assign an office of a or a person that must be readily accessible to receive complaints, and an office for this purpose have to be also be there to follow up the complainant, and yes, for the complainant to could be facilitated. So from there, this is another section that have to be again amended. There should be an office for that for the complainant to file whatever complaints there may be. So that's one thing. And then another, next slide, please. Then we still have, okay, one in here. Decision of any case may be arrived at a very delayed time where offended party may just retired or died and prior to the implementation of a particular decision. So this is again a critical point in which we must have to revisit and of course recommend for amendments in such a way that there should be a standard processing time for an investigation to follow again the RA 1131. And then the last slide, can I have it? So in here, the committee for created conduct the investigation based on time frame. It's the same with the other one. There should be a procedure that has to be followed. So thank you. I guess this is the last. Okay, thank you and good afternoon again.
All right, thank you po, Ma'am Boris from CMU. I think their presentation is unique, no, that they already criticized, no, their own procedures by I believe because of the webinar that we had last Monday, no. So
Yes,
just
yeah.
follow through with your recommendation for amendment. I think sige, ang focus na ako dun sa iba. Why there should be an office, because it's very critical, no, yung pag-receive ng complaint, no, that's very vital in sexual harassment cases. I have encountered several cases wherein nagkamali ng receive, hindi na tumuloy ang kaso. Na rape, nagkamali ng receive, nasisip pa haba ng receive, wala na. So yun po, so it's very critical that there should be an office and the record should be treated with utmost confidentiality. So the office will serve as a neutral ground, no, or a neutral repository of the cases, not lodged within any of the offices.
Offices.
Yes, so for impartiality to be practiced and for, of course, the office to appear impartial for that matter. And as to the remedies, I am very happy, ma'am, that you focused on this. No? Should really stay tuned or be abreast with the provisions on the remedies kasi there can be concurrent liabilities for not acting, no, or not acting within the time period provided for by the law. So just revisit it in connection to the ones that I will be talking about later on CMO number 1 series of 2015, And I'm very happy that you realize how important these provisions and how they should be amended or updated in connection to 11313 and implementing rules and regulations. So maraming salamat po, ma'am.
Yes, thank you po, sir. Attorney.
Right.
Po.
Thank you so much to all our presenters, and that wraps up our presentation of assignments. And now I'll pass you back to Attorney to continue the discussion. I think Attorney will discuss procedural requirements for complaints. And over to you, Attorney.
All right. There's a question, no? There's a private message. Okay, the question is, hi attorney, regarding the members of the CODI, the guidelines stated must be composed of at least 50% women. My question is, does the member of LGBTQ be considered in the count as women? All right, RA 113 is still framed, no, with the same laws that we have that categorizes only by virtue of sex. Okay, so I think the women here pertains to biological sex as women, unless the LGBTQ is of course a lesbian or for that matter, no, or a trans man but biological women. So ganun po kasi yung framing pa ng batas na yan. So as to the CODI membership, the women being considered here are the biological women. So siguro that is also one of the considerations why the framers of the law made sure that for educational or training institutions, representations as to LGBTQ or SOGI should be equally made. Yun po. Pero yun pa rin po, hindi pa rin naman po nagbabago yung framing na batas po natin, no? In all our laws, it's still based on the basis, or it's still framed on the basis of sex. So the question is, the LGBT here, the woman here can be that by way of sexual orientation as a lesbian, biological women, or as to gender identity or expression as a trans man, biological women, biological woman pa rin po. So in other words, the basis is still on sex. Okay? Yes po. I do hope that later on, of course, no, that the laws will be framed by on the basis of gender. Pero we have to revamp actually all our existing laws. But anyway, before I proceed, can I have a 10-minute health break so that we can go to the CR and stretch our legs? Will that be okay, Ma'am Lynn Rose?
Yes, yes, we can. We'll
Okay.
just play videos, so you may leave your stations for 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
so the time is 3:45, Attorney. So
I'll see you again by 3:55. Maraming salamat po.
all right. Okay. Thank you, Attorney, and we'll be back at 3:55, everyone. Enjoy the 10-minute health break. I think while waiting for the video, make sure that you were able to fill out the attendance link that was sent to the chat box at the beginning of the program. And we will resend it, just making sure, especially those who have unstable internet connection, we're in and out of the Zoom meeting. So, right. Thank you, and see you at 3:55.
I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore. And I know too much to go back and pretend. 'Cause I've heard it all before, and I've been down there on the floor. No one's ever gonna keep me down again. Whoa, yes, I am wise, but it's wisdom for the pain. Yes, I paid the price, but look how much I gained. If I have to, I can do anything. I am strong, I am invincible. 'cause it only serves to make me more determined to achieve my final goal. And I come back even stronger, not a novice any longer, 'cause you've deepened the conviction in my soul. Oh yes, I am wise, but it's wisdom on a plane. Yes, I paid the price, but look how much I gained. If I have to, I can do anything. I am strong, I am invincible, I am woman. I am woman, watch me grow, see me standing toe to toe as I spread my loving arms across the land. But I'm still an embryo with a long, long way to go until I'll make my brother understand. Oh yes, I am wise, but it's wisdom born of pain. Yes, I paid the price, but look how much I gained. If I have to, I can face anything. I am strong, I am invincible, I am woman. I am woman. I am invincible, I am strong, I am woman. I am invincible. I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore. And I know too much to go back and pretend, 'cause I've heard it all before, and I've been down there on the floor. No one's ever gonna keep me down again. Whoa, yes, I am wise, but it's wisdom born of pain. Yes, I paid the price, but look how much I gained. If I have to, I can do anything. I am strong, I am invincible, I am woman. You can bend but never break me, 'cause it only serves to make me more determined to achieve my final goal. And I come back even stronger, not a novice any longer, 'cause you've deepened the conviction in my soul. Oh yes, I am wise, but it's wisdom born of pain. Yes, I paid the price, but look how much I gained. If I have to,
All right, I think we will be resuming our session in a minute. So I hope that everyone is back in the room. Can I see some Zoom reactions maybe to see if you're here, if you're back here? It's 3:54, so we will be starting our session, resuming our session rather in 1 minute. So I can see some heart react, and also attorney is back here. So I hope that everyone is back in the room. You may do the Zoom reactions to let us know that you're here, or maybe you can send a message in the chat. But I guess I'll pass it to continue the discussion. I think I'll pass it to Attorney Eric. Over to you, Attorney.
All right. Thank you, Ma'am Lynn Rose. No. Again, good afternoon, everyone. So we now arrive at the last part of our discussion for this 2-day webinar, no, about the procedural requirements. So it's only proper that we end, no, the webinar series on the procedure. We already know about the substantive aspects of sexual harassment. We have discussed the 4 relevant laws of sexual harassment, particularly RA 7877, 2017 RACS, CHED Memorandum Order number 1, series of 2015, and RA 11313. And then we put it by way of an exercise in your respective institutions. No? So we will be now discussing about the procedural requirements based on the CHED memo. Take note, the general law of 11313 did not provide provisions about the procedure on how to go about sexual harassment. No? In RACS, no, somehow it's quite similar with what is the procedure under CHED memo. But to be safe, I think, no, because we are HEIs, so I strongly believe that we should base the procedures, no, on the law, specific law, which governs HEIs, which is the CHED Memorandum number 1, series of 2015. You will see later, no, if you also would like to view about 27 RACs, that they're quite similar in form and structure. Okay, so complaint, this is very basic, like what I was mentioning. No? Every sexual harassment, no, the only way that the CODI will be able to act on it is by way of a complaint. Now, there are some things that we should consider if we will refer in CHED memo, or maybe we will refer on RACs, that it should be filed, no, with the CODI. Now, there are times whereby, no, the complaint is directly filed before the disciplining authority. So if that is the case, then the complaint should be transmitted to the CODI. So the point being is that the CODI should be the one to receive the complaint. Okay? So requirement, it should be written, signed, sworn to by the complainant. It should be notarized. No? Now, this creates quite a quandary now, no? Because right now, the act of signing physically might be a hindrance or a difficulty. And for notarization, it would still be required, no, that the party will personally appear and have them signed. Okay, so this provision, of course, in 2015 did not, was not aware of the current provisions now in the pandemic, that there can be notarization by way of video conferencing, ganyan. So I did not go into detail there, no, but perhaps you can refer it to the current setup that we're having. Okay, notarization aspect, I believe in some HEIs you have an officer there who can, upon whom complaints can be sworn to. So perhaps you can utilize it. But for notarization purposes, just inform the complainants about the notarization by way of video conferencing. I think there is a specific circular that we are complying with now, that even though they're not appearing before the law office, no, they can have their documents be notarized. Okay, so just the same, it should be written, signed, and sworn. No? There is an oath that should be entered into. All right. The following are the minimum contents: full name, address of the complainant, full name, address, position of the respondent. The complainant is the one who complains. The respondent is the one who responds. All right. It should also contain a brief statement of relevant facts. The evidence can be appended to the complaint or attached. No? And there should be a certification of non-forum shopping. Now, this one is a technical document whereby it states that there are no other cases similar to this one. And if there are other cases similar to this complaint, then it should be declared under certification of non-forum shopping, but this would appear to prevent yung forum shopping whereby cases can be filed simultaneously, no, without the other tribunal knowing of the existence of that case. So that's what's prevented for by this certificate of non-forum shopping. In any case, no, the certificate of non-forum shopping should also be notarized. Okay? Yeah. All right. Other things to remember, no, the elements are provided for in the law. So what happens if one is missing? It can be dismissed without prejudice to the refiling of it. So if the code is strict, you can strictly implement this one. That absence of one requirement in the complaint, you can dismiss it without prejudice to the refiling it. So yun, no. Second, by mentioning that it's dismissal without prejudice, it can be refiled upon full compliance of the requirements. So medyo naubos lang yung oras, no. All right, it can be sent by telegram, email, or other similar means. Now, what we commonly do is that if there is a one missing element, we issue a notice of compliance. No? Notice of compliance states that you must comply with this, otherwise your complaint will be dismissed. Okay, some lenient code performs this, that they issue a notice of compliance if a missing element of the complaint is absent. So this can be done. This is provided for under CHED Memorandum Number 1. So it deemed to be filed only if the requirements are complied with within 10 days from receipt of notice of compliance. So if there's a notice of compliance, the receiving party, the complainant, has 10 days to comply with the missing requirement. Okay? So the CODI should send the notice of compliance. So it would appear that upon receipt of the complaint, there are three, no, options. Number one is kapag kulang po, dalawa, no, absence one, you can dismiss it. Second, you can issue a notice of compliance, no, directing the complainant to comply with the missing requirement. Okay, dalawa po. Now, I believe there is a question a while ago about the withdrawal of the complaint. There was this mention about CHED Memorandum Number 1 stating that the withdrawal of the complaint at any stage, no, does not stop CODI from investigating, given there are two requirements. Number one, upon assessment of the CODI, if upon assessment of the CODI there is obvious truth or merit, then even though both parties, for example, no, are already withdrawing the complaint, the CODI can still proceed if there is obvious truth or merit to the complaint. Second, if there is documentary or direct evidence to prove the guilt. Now, what's a documentary evidence? These are documents which are relevant, no, to the case. No? Usually, by experience, no, this can be emails, no, or text messages, or printed photos, or whatsoever. Now, upon assessment of the CODI, even though the parties already are not interested to pursue the case, no, pwede pa rin tumuloy as long as these two are present. In fact, it's or. So any of these two can lead to the continuance or continuation of the investigation, regardless whether the parties would not want for it to be continued. All right? Okay. But of course, the CODI can also not continue, no, if any of the two are absent. So it really depends on the discretion of the CODI. No, that's why I kept on mentioning, I think in all my lectures about CODI way back 2014, no, that the CODI should have some sort of a technical expertise, no, in assessing these kinds of things. All right, so there should be continuous capacity building, no, of all our CODI members, specifically in handling evidence or administering sexual harassment cases. There is, I think, a question. Ay, sorry. All right. Hindi pala question. Oh, naku po. Kaya sige po, tatapusin ko na po ng medyo mabilis. Sorry. Okay, now, of course, if there is a complaint, no, we have to inform the respondent on what should be filed in response to the complaint. So commonly, respondents, or not commonly, but also by law, respondents respond by way of a counter affidavit. So it's an affidavit, so it needs to be notarized. Again, there should be an oath. Now, if there's no counter affidavit filed by the respondent in connection to the case, the CODI can proceed with the preliminary investigation, considering what they possess. So in effect, it would appear that the respondent will be put on at a disadvantaged position because all the documents that the CODI has at that existing period is only the completed evidence submitted by the complainant. So it's incumbent upon the respondent to file a counter affidavit to technically deny everything and provide a counter evidence or proof to negate the accusation. Otherwise, the CODI will proceed with the PI or preliminary investigation only with the documents that they have. Now, there can be extensions, of course, but the extensions provided for in CHED memo can be only should be made within the period 3 days from notice. All right, PI. So what's a PI? It's a preliminary investigation. What we're having here is that there should be examination of documents. Now, this examination of documents can be done by the CODI. It may be done ex parte. When you talk about ex parte, the parties need not be present. I think it will be faster if the parties are not present, specifically if the CODI members are just there assessing what have been submitted to them. But in some cases, CODI can allow submission of reply affidavit. Sometimes kasi, especially if the documents are quite insufficient to rule into, di ba? We require a complaint, counter. The CODI can also ask for a reply to the counter. Okay? The reply affidavit can be done by the complainant and then a rejoinder coming from the respondent. So, all in all, you have 4 documents within on which you can conduct your PI or preliminary investigation. Now, this PI is very important because the end point of a PI is an investigation report. All right. Now, the investigation report is very important because upon which this can be the basis of a formal charge that will be issued by the disciplining authority. So, gets hindi po CODI ang nag-i-issue ng formal charge. Ang nag-i-issue ng formal charge is based on the report, and the formal charge will be issued by the disciplining authority. Now, the issuance is just within 3 days, working days, from receipt of the investigation report. Okay? Now, there is this issue on prima facie case. Okay? If may prima facie case, formal charge will be issued. If no prima facie case, complaint shall be dismissed. All right. Now, how to formulate a preliminary investigation report? Ito po yung common, narration of material facts, findings and evidence supporting the finding, all right, recommendations. The CODI shall submit it within 5 working days from the termination of the PI, as well as a complete work records to the disciplining authority. If there's a prima facie case, then a formal charge will be issued. If there's no prima facie case, the complaint shall be dismissed. That's why the preliminary investigation is very important, because this will be one of the bases upon which the DA will issue a formal charge. And we all know that a formal charge is the one that is put on record, can hold you, or can prevent you from graduating, prevent you from leaving the institution, because there's a formal charge, there's a formal case already. Okay, what's the definition of prima facie? Under the civil service rules, it means that there is sufficient evidence that the respondent is probably guilty of an offense. And if not refuted by other evidence, becomes conclusive that the respondent is guilty. So it's very vague, It it will really depend on the CODI on how to assess the documents filed, specifically the evidence that are appended to the corresponding documents, to the complaint, to the counter affidavit, to the reply affidavit, to the rejoinder affidavit. So this only depicts how important the role of the CODI is when we talk about sexual harassment cases, not only because they receive cases, but also, number 2, they recommend whether a prima facie case exists or not. Okay? In some HCIs that I know, they have a checklist. In some naman, they just rely on how they appreciate evidence. So that's why I kept on telling a while ago that the CODI member should have continuous capacity building so that they will properly assess whether there's prima facie case or not. Okay, formal charge. What's a formal charge? It's issued by the disciplining authority after finding a prima facie case. If an investigation report is filed by the CODI, the disciplining authority can number 1, grant the recommendation. Second, the disciplining authority cannot consider, no, the recommendation. Or third, can add to the recommendation. So the disciplining authority have discretion also to do those things, no, to act along those things. All right, along those lines. Okay, the basic contents are specification of charges, brief statement of the facts. It should be accompanied by evidence, sworn statements, usually that are also form part actually of the evidence that were assessed by way of the preliminary investigation. Now, the formal charge has a directive for the respondent to answer the charge within 72 hours. So the respondent has 3 days from receipt to respond or to answer to the formal charge. Now, this formal charge should also have a statement regarding the option of the respondent to indicate whether the respondent opts to have a formal or informal investigation. And there should also be a notification that the respondent, no, is entitled to be assisted by a counsel of his or her own choice. Usually nga dito sa nilagay pa namin dyan, of her own choice, to be shouldered, no, by the respondent. Para lang klaro, makakala nila should be shouldered also by the institution. Okay, there are some dilatory motions that the CODI cannot entertain, like a request for consideration, motion for dismiss, bill of particulars. These are technical rules of evidence that CODI cannot entertain because it would seem to be that these motions are just dilatory in nature. Now, if the grounds really pertain to these specific documents, no, they should already incorporate it to the answer. Now, the answer is what I was mentioning a while ago. Ito po yun, that after the formal charge, there's a directive for the respondent to answer. Now, if the grounds that supposedly to be indicated in the bill of particulars, motion to dismiss, it should be incorporated as part of the answer of the respondent. Now, the answer, it should be filed by the respondent. Again, writing, sworn to, contains evidence, sworn statements, also a statement whether, no, he or she will elect a formal investigation. No? Now, if the respondent will not answer, then it is considered as waived. All right. Now, what will be the effect of waiver? Tuloy lang po ang formal investigation. Automatic po, formal investigation na mangyayari. Now, preventive suspension, this one is, again, depending on the discretion of the disciplining authority and also can be recommended too by the CODI. All right? So, ano ba yan? Preventive suspension, temporary removal of respondent from the scene of the offense. Now, how can it be done? Upon the petition of the complainant, if the complainant will request for it, or motu proprio on the part of the CODI or on the part of the disciplining authority. Okay? It is issued during the formal investigation. All right? Now, why one of the reasons why preventive suspension is very crucial is that if there is a belief, no, that the respondent is probably guilty, no, that would warrant his or her removal from service. And also, no, even though it's not mentioned, applying it to practice, no, that one of the reasons why the respondent is suspended is for him or her to avoid contacting witnesses within the office or to avoid destroying the evidence for the office. No? So basically, that removal will serve that purpose. No? And the purpose, no, is to prevent exertion of influence or pressure on the witness or tampering the evidence. Now, the period of suspension is usually 90 days as provided for by the law. And if there's a reinstatement, no, if the case remains unfinished upon the expiry, the respondent shall be automatically reinstated to service. If there's a delay, no, the delay is due to the fault, negligence, or because of the respondent, then the period shall not be included in the counting of the 90-day period. The leaves, such as maternity or paternity, shall be deferred until the return, no, of the respondent. Now, what are the remedies allowed for the respondent? MR. Motion for reconsideration siya to the disciplining authority. Now, if it is still denied, na pwede niyang i-elevate sa Civil Service Commissions for public HEIs. No, kapag naman private HEIs, it can be elevated through appeal. All right? So I apologize, no, we're discussing with the nitty-gritties of procedure here. So I hope you can still bear with me, but this is what is provided for by the CHED Memorandum Order. Apart from discussing what's provided for, I am also discussing on why this is very important, and I hope that I will be able to also discuss the purpose and the rationale behind, no, the provisions. Apart from also sharing my experiences, no, the common occurrences along these stages. Formal investigation. Now, who conducts a formal investigation? Now, it is conducted by the CODI, not the disciplining authority. So, again, no, investigation report, recommendatory, DA, disciplining authority will issue formal charge. Upon the formal charge, there is this directive to the CODI to conduct, no, an investigation. Now, it can be requested by the respondent, or it can also be if the answer is waived. All right, now, when the formal investigation should be 5 to 10 days from receipt of answer. Duration should be within 30 days from the issuance of the formal charge. And of course, it can be extended. It would be better to make all the stones unturned, no, rather than leaving a stone behind, no, kasi we are talking about careers here, no, and reputations of people. Now, there's also an option of informal investigation, like what I was mentioning. No? This can be requested also. Now, this can be allowed by the CODI in lieu of formal investigation. Now, sometimes this is requested for by parties. Okay, it can be allowed by the CODI. So, in lieu of having a witness sit before the witness stand, or in lieu of the direct examination and cross-examination, no, it can be by way of memoranda. Now, the memoranda, no, are by way of position papers, no, reply, rejoinder. Commonly, what we do here is that the position papers will be submitted simultaneously, and then the replies will be submitted simultaneously as well as the rejoinder. So, in effect, what should have happened in an actual hearing, an actual full-blown hearing, will be put into documents by way of position papers. So evidence will be submitted, parties will be interviewed alongside their witnesses, hearings can be done but only for clarificatory, and parties may or may not be represented by counsels. Okay? So the formal investigation that I was mentioning a while ago can be, may not be done, no, as long as the informal investigation will be requested. Pre-hearing conference, this is very important, no, for formal investigation. Before the hearing itself, there should be some sort of a on what the boundaries of the hearing will be. So it's conducted upon the commencement of the formal investigation. This will not happen, no, in formal investigation. But I think for CODI members, you can have this also for informal investigation, so that yung position papers nila, replies, rejoinders, hindi yung sala-sala pinag-uusapan, kasi yung pre-hearing conference, it sets the bounds or the limits on what issues shall be tackled, what facts have been admitted, or what still facts have to be proven, no? The evidence will be identified, no? The witnesses will be named. So kapag kasi informal investigation, nakakalimutan na nila ito, pero I think kahit hindi sabihin ng batas na ng formal investigation, to dapat magkaroon pa rin ng pre-hearing sa informal investigation, so that these things, no, the elements that are part of the pre-hearing conference will also be, no, what will happen, no, in the documents such as the position papers or the memoranda that they will be submitting. Because the purpose here is of course to streamline the investigation. Kapag kasi na-identify mo na yung facts, yung issues, yung mga hindi na pag-uusapan, di ba, it streamlines, no? It will be very easy on the part of the CODI to rule, no, on the certain controversy. Okay? Kasi baka mamaya sa sobrang dami ng witnesses niyan, nahirapan na kayo. So we should limit the number of witnesses, their name should be identified, the dates, kung informal, dates of submission, no, of the position papers, replies, or rejoinders can be provided. Kapag formal, syempre, dates of subsequent hearings. Alright, simplification of issues. Pag-uusapan dito, syempre, whether or not sexual harassment happened. Yun lang ba o meron pa bang isang issue dyan? Kasi pag yun lang, at least yun lang ang pag-uusapan. So ang contents ng documents for informal investigation will be just focusing on that aspect. Alright? Now, requirements after the pre-hearing, after this has been done, stipulation of facts, implication issues, and so on and so forth, the ending is that there will be a pre-hearing order. Now, this pre-hearing order will be the one that sets the boundaries of the hearing, may it be formal or informal. Now, the problem with the pre-hearing investigation is that counsels will be there. No? There should be representative counsels. In comparison to informal, whereby counsels are not required to be present. Kasi ito pong mga matters na to require technical expertise. Preliminary hearing. So yan po, appearance of the parties. Complainant shall first present his evidence, lagi pong ganon. And then after that, respondent shall present his or her evidence and witnesses. So papatapusin muna po ang complainant. Lahat ng kanyang witness, lahat ng kanyang ebidensya, and then respondent po naman ang kasunod. Subpoena, it can be useful in these kinds of cases. No? There are two kinds, subpoena duces tecum and subpoena ad testificandum. Duces tecum talks about documents or things that can be evidence for or against the parties. Ad testificandum, if a party would want the attendance of a witness to testify. All right? So non-compliance with the subpoena can give rise to liabilities. Hearings, if there's a counsel, the counsel should formally enter, may it be by way of a written entry of appearance or oral, and counsel shall state his or her full name, address, upon which services of notices can be made. If without counsel, then the respondent shall be deemed to have waived his or her right to counsel. There should be an oath during hearings. If there's a witness, the witness should be placed under oath, apart from identifying or naming his or her name, address, status, age, and place of employment. Order of hearing, complainant shall present evidence, then respondent, and then there can be rebuttal or rebuttal. These are technical aspects, but the general terms can be complied with. So examination of witnesses, direct examination, and then of course there's cross-examination. After cross-examination, redirect examination, and recross. So this is what actually happens in court. You can comply with this or not. Depends upon you. But I think this provides an order on how to go about things. Hindi nagbabangayan lang lahat. Okay. Formal offer of evidence. This happens after the presentation of all evidence. The formal offer should be made subject to objections of the other party. Memorandum can also be had. So yung memorandum sort of provides for the whole picture of the case. It should be submitted within 5 days after termination. Objections, may mga objections po kasi dun sa pag-offer ng evidence. Pag-offer ng evidence, this can be noted and ruled upon by the CODI. CODI shall accept all evidence deemed material and relevant to all the cases. In cases of doubt, CODI shall allow admission of evidence subject to the objection. Now, the ending of the formal investigation is again a formal investigation report. The CODI is directed to submit the report to the disciplining authority within 15 days. It can still be extended. Now, what are the contents? Narration of material facts that are established. Okay, findings and supporting evidence, and the records should be submitted to the disciplining authority. Finality of decision. The decision is deemed final within 30 days from the receipt of the investigation report. Dapat may decision na po ang disciplining authority. If the penalty meted is not more than 13 days or a fine amounting to 30-day salary, final na executory. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo na siya pwedeng i-appeal. Alright? Kapag naman more than 30 days ang penalty, ay pwede pa siyang magiging final executory siya after 15 days if there's no MR or appeal. Alright, so in other words, the decision that is appealable will be those penalties that can at least suspend you for more than 30 days or fine of exceeding 30-day salary of the guilty party. Now, quantum of proof, like what I was mentioning, it's not a finding of guilt beyond reasonable doubt because we're only dealing with administrative aspect ng administrative cases. So it's only substantial evidence. What is substantial evidence? Relevant evidence as a reasonable mind mind might accept as adequate to support a conclusion. So very vague, very general, but I think it will really depend on the CODI on how to say that this kind of evidence is substantial enough to say that the perpetrator is guilty of sexual harassment under our own code of conduct and as guided for by the CHED Memorandum Order Number 1, Series of 2015. Remedies. Tapos na ba ang boxing? Of course not. In essence of due process, like what I was mentioning and what was elaborated in RA 11313, due process should be imposed in all parts of the proceeding. So there can be an adverse ruling that can be subjected to a motion for reconsideration. All right. So a motion for reconsideration may be filed within 15 days from receipt of the decision. Now, there's only one MR that's allowed. And it stays the execution of the decision. So what does it mean? Although the decision already, for example, of you being suspended, it can be suspended, it can be stopped by way of an MR. All right. Now, grounds, new evidence, decision is not supported by the evidence on the record, and there are errors of law or irregularities which have been committed that are prejudicial to the interest of the applicant. Kapag naman po denied pa rin ng MR, mag-a-appeal na po. Now, for SUCs, LUCs, after the ruling of disciplining authority, you should go to the Civil Service Commission, Regional Office. Okay? For private HEIs, kapag po adverse sa disciplining authority, we can proceed with the ordinary courts following Rule 43 of the Rules of Court. How to perfect an appeal? An appellant can file an appeal within 15 days from receipt of decision, submission of the following: notice of appeal, 3 copies of the appeal containing the grounds with the certified true copy of decision or resolution, and other certified copies of evidence, proof of service, dapat po ay may pruweban na serve the disciplining office, payment of appeal fee, and still certification of non-forum shopping, which has been required during the start of this case in the complaint. Failure to comply, of course, failure to perfect an appeal shall cause its dismissal. Effect of filing, it do not stop the decision from being executory. If penalty, suspension, or removal, the respondent is considered as having been under preventive suspension. All right, there are cases whereby, upon appeal, ang sabi ng civil service, remand. Ano ibig sabihin nun? It will go back to the CODI and shall finish the investigation. Okay, unless the delay is within 3 months. Unless the delay is due to the fault, negligence, or petition of the person complained of, or extension is granted by the Civil Service Commission. Now, if the case is remanded to the disciplining authority, the disciplining authority shall render decision within 15 days from receipt. Otherwise, the civil service shall vacate and set aside the decision. Other code responsibilities, always due process. Reportorial requirements, like what was mentioned a while ago, that all cases should be reported to the CHEDRO, Civil Service Commission, and DOLE if applicable. I think I saw that in some of the policies of institutions. And then the CHEDRO will endorse it to the CHED Focal Committee in the Central Office for appropriate action. All right, so I hope I was able to discuss properly the procedural rules, although it's quite quick because of lack of time. So do you have any questions? I can only see 118 na participants from 140. Again, I hope that it's not due to the resource person, but from some other reasons. Okay, do you have any questions? Ayan. I brown out. Naku, sorry. Anyway, this is available in our Facebook, so I hope you will be able to recheck the Facebook Live later.
So far, we don't have questions then attorneys of Facebook. So I'm not sure with we have one from
I think at least we have now have a reason to revisit. Yes po. Maraming salamat po for that realization. So any thoughts, reflections, realizations, not really questions, what do we get or takeaways from this 2-day webinar that we had?
Attorney, may question po tayo from
Okay.
USTP, from Ma'am Maria Teresa Fajardo. It's on the chat box. But what if may nakakaalam about the sexual harassment incident but ayaw mag-witness, pwedeng gawing hostile witness po.
Yes po, allowed naman po yan. No? Even though as provided for ay hindi tayo strictly sa technical rules, but we can utilize the rules and evidence as provided for in the rules of court and the 2017 RACs. So wala na po nagsasabi na bawal po tayo mag-rely doon. In fact, pwede po tayo mag-rely doon. Now, what's the essence of being a hostile witness? Its essence is that at the onset, we can ask leading questions already. So medyo technical na po yung aspeto na yan. No? Pero yung hostile witness kasi, paupo mo na siya dyan, pwede ka na mag-ask ng leading questions. Ano may leading questions? Ito po yung answerable by yes or no. So hindi po siya pwede mag-object yung kabilang partido kapag po nagtanong kayo ng ganun. Okay. Can we have a copy of this? Yes po, of course. I have already sent a copy to MSU IIT. So I hope they will give a copy to all of you. Welcome po, Ma'am Corazon. No? I hope that really I provided a comprehensive lecture training. So please be guided by the new laws that we have discussed and also by the procedural requirements here. So I look forward to more CODIs in Region 10 and more codes of conduct that should be there. Alright, siguro meron pa ba? Kahit isa po before we end. I encourage you to ask questions. Sir, do you have trainings on being okay. So actually, I have done paralegal trainings in Region 10 for twice already. Tama ba, Ma'am Nat Igot? No? 2 beses na po ako naimbitahan sa Region 10 para po mag-conduct ng paralegal trainings. So, ito po ay hindi ko siya ginawang paralegal kasi it's very hard, especially we're delivering it on an online platform. So, siguro magsimula muna tayo ulit sa introduction and then we can proceed with the paralegal training later on. Yan po. Nakadalawa na po ako, alam ko eh. One was in this hotel and the other one was in the other hotel. Ma'am Nat Igot knows the details. So, yun po ma'am, yun po. CHEDRO 10 is very proactive. I think CHEDRO 10 is the only, after the National Paralegal, sila po talaga kaagad ni Region 10 ang nag-invite sa akin to conduct that. Other than that, wala na ma'am ng tenants para lagi pong Region 1 to 4 and then CHED Region 1, 2 tsaka yung CAR, and then I had this paralegal also with CHED Visayas Cluster and meron po nung huli CHED Mindanao Cluster. Yan po. Alright, will it be okay for a complaint? Yes. No, yes po. Dapat po yan talaga. Ginagawa po talaga yan, no? Especially now. Kasi para pong nagkaroon ng stoppage lahat ng functions ng government ngayon. So it will be incumbent for the complainant to follow up the case. Yun po. Yun po, Ma'am Hazel. Alright, kung wala na, to those who were able to present a while ago, please coordinate with MSU IIT and they will coordinate with me on how you will be able to get your prizes. No, I'm willing to give you the prizes for the effort that you did a while ago. And I would like to also congratulate CHEDRO 10, kasi kita mo naman, Ma'am Nats, marami pong may CODI, marami pong may code of conduct. It's just a matter of updating them because of this new law. It was just enacted way back 2019. Nagkaroon pa ng pandemic, kaya po natigilan nila. So I think the presentations of the HEIs is a realization that, of course, CHEDRO is performing their duties in connection to sexual harassment. So I would like to congratulate you for that. Apo, welcome po sa prize, ma'am. I-claim nyo lang po. Alright, promote lang po ako ng konti ng sarili ko. So this is the book that I will be providing for sa mga libre. The first book on gender society. That is me. So sexual harassment, gender-based violence, wow, that's my This is 2019. So I think we will move for the revising this to accommodate the new laws. I also was able to make a book alongside with the contemporary world. May subject din po niyan. So yan po. And this is I think this was last year, Foundation of Early Childhood Education. This is also the first, kasi lahat po ng about early childhood education ay from abroad. So I was the one who provided for the policy foundations. And this is the newest book that I was able to do. Na-invite na po ako sa criminology sector ng REX. So ayan po. Human rights education. So of course, nagsama ako ng gender dyan syempre. So about the rights of women, I also incorporated that. So I think it's proper only for law enforcement officers or criminology professionals to also be aware, you know, of the rights of LGBTQ as well as the rights of gender or of all women. So yun po, no, following books, abangan niyo po yan. Meron pa po akong hindi nailagay dyan. Alright. So maraming salamat. I think I would like to end this 2-day webinar series by a quote from the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. No? So fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. So I have been in this advocacy. I think when I became a lawyer, I started this up to now. So I think this is my calling. This is my life mission. That's why I would like to emphasize that this advocacy is a very noble one. No? And it just so happened that I'm lucky that I'm a lawyer, that I keep on using my platform to fight for these things. And I hope that upon hearing the lectures that I had, you will be realized that this advocacy should be fought for by everyone, including us as members of the HEI, because we are molding students. It's only proper that we mold them in the right way. So yan po. Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. Now, former Justice Ruth Ginsburg recently died, sayang. But for all you know, she's one of the female feminist activist judge of the United States Supreme Court. So maraming salamat po. So if you have any other concerns, I think we tackled some sensitive issues, no? So kung hindi po ninyo mabanggit in the plenary, pwede niyo po akong email or i-message. No, kasi yan po lagi experience ko, marami pong hindi nakakapagsalita dahil nga po medyo aminin po natin, no? Medyo komplikadong issues po ito. We are talking about traumatic incidents, we're talking about harassment cases, but you can trust me and message me or email me if you would want questions that can that you want me to personally respond to. So with that, maraming salamat po for the opportunity. I would like again to thank Ma'am Natalie Igot and Chedro 10 for inviting me again for the third time, to conduct these kinds of webinar and seminars on sexual harassment. I would like to congratulate you for this very good event. Again, it only shows the kind of dedication, the kind of being proactive, and the kind of hard work that Chedro is doing. I would like also to congratulate MSU IIT for a superb handling of this activity. Sir JP, Ma'am Lynrose, and Ma'am Queenie, maraming salamat po. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Pasensya na po, lagi po akong overtime. I'm giving now the floor to Ma'am Lynrose to conduct the final activities. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, attorney. Thank you for that very substantive exchange, and you were able to really succinctly, deliver that nitty-gritties of the CMOs in a very limited time. We also apologize. We wish that we could give you a broader space and a longer time to really have a feedbacking session. And I think this is a continuing discussion. This will not be the last for sure. So we will have another opportunities to do that. So to those of you who are asking for the evaluation form, it's already up in the chat box. So if your internet is not very stable, so you might want to check it now and click the link so that you'll still have time to accomplish it. But before I'll present the certificate of appreciation to our speaker who has been with us since last week for this very rigorous, despite the modality training. I'll pass the virtual floor muna to Dr. Natalie Igot. Ma'am Nat, she wants to respond to some questions and maybe share some remarks as well before we go to the closing part of the program. Ma'am Natalie, over to you po.
Okay, so thank you all attendees for being with us June 7 and June 14. And of course, thank you for MSU IIT GAD RC. And of course, thank you for Attorney Eric. Attorney Eric Paul has been my partner or together with the NGRP of PCW. I understand you really want more of this activity. So it will depend if I receive a lot of requests, a lot of requests that there will be a paralegal, because we have conducted sometime in 2016 or 2017 here in Cagayan de Oro City, but also there's a group that want more of that. But of course, with the new RA 11313, I think we need to revisit also our paralegal attorney. So, but I will, of course, I will depend on your request. All the HEIs can send me an email. You know what is the email per our CMO, per our memorandum. Our memorandum. I think through a memorandum, I put my email address that you can contact me if you really want paralegal. So that is very, very important. But in that case, we want that all the kudi should be presented. Maybe we can do it by Bukidnon area, by Misamis Occidental area, by Misamis Oriental, and then for Cagayan de Oro, because I think we have a number of Cagayan de Oro and Iligan. So that's what I'm thinking for those who really want. I remember in the last paralegal that we had, you had also a request for that. So if you can actually make a request, we can, with Attorney Peralta, we can probably plan it out. So we promise, but it depends on your request. If you have a request, because it is also important that I can prove that there is a need. There is a need. That is one thing. So I think that is the answer that I would like to tell you, that it depends on your need. We need you to express that need. So thank you very much for asking that question. Even how much we desire, we want you to request the need. So thank you very much. It has to be in terms of number of people that will be attending, because we don't want to waste the time of Attorney Peralta. Kindly note, he's also a legal consultant, so we are pulling him out for today from his work. So I think we need you to really express how many will be attending and then we can plan out. It could be either towards the end of the quarter or the third quarter or the first quarter, Attorney, diba? We can plan this out. And if you want to really have Attorney Eric Peralta solely for your school, you can just inform me and I will inform him. Because sometimes schools would like to have exclusive with Attorney Peralta. So that's all that I would like to share. I will put back the virtual statements and closing to Ma'am Lynn. Thank you, Ma'am Lynn.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Natalie. That's a very concrete ways forward that all of us can actually benefit. And that's like what Ma'am Natalie said, that's just a request away. So please, that's just an email away. So we look forward to having and to be part of that initiative as well. So again, let's give a virtual round of applause to Attorney Eric Paul Peralta and also to Ma'am Natalie. And also as a way of our gratitude, expressing our gratitude to Attorney for sharing his expertise. We want to present on behalf of the organizers of this event. We want to present the certificate of appreciation to our speakers. Allow me to read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Office of the President, Commission on Higher Education, Region 10 presents the certificate of appreciation to Attorney Eric Paul D. Peralta for the time and effort selflessly shared and the competence demonstrated during the two-day Learning and Development online program, Appreciation in Committee on Decorum and Investigation, Anti-Sexual Harassment Act and Safe Spaces Act as a resource person, in which was powered by MSU IIT GOD-RC on June 7 and June 14, 2021. The knowledge and perspectives he exuded greatly enhanced the depth of awareness on the rudiments of gender and development. Given this 14th day of June, Cagayan de Oro City, Philippines, signed by the Director Raul C. Alvarez Jr. Again, thank you so much. Maraming salamat po, Attorney Eric Paul Peralta. Let's give Attorney a big round of applause. And you can see in the chat box as well, flooding, like messages of gratitude for the very substantive training, and that is, I think, very helpful in the different agencies and institutions that we are representing today. And also to present the certificate of these events, the partner of this initiative, may I call in the Chief Admin Officer of the CHED Region 10 HR, Ma'am Mirna Gallareta. Ma'am Mirna, over to you po.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. A certificate of appreciation is also awarded to MSU IIT Gender and Development Resource Center for the time and efforts selflessly shared and the competence demonstrated as a sponsor and as a provider of the needed ICT and technology requirements of the 2-day Learning and Development online program, Appreciation on Committee on Decorum and Investigation, Anti-Sexual Harassment Act and Safe Spaces Act on June 7 and June 14, 2021. Given this 14th day of June 2021, Cagayan de Oro City, Philippines, signed Raul C. Alvarez Jr., Director 4. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Eric, and MSU IIT as well.
Thank you, Ma'am Mirna. And in behalf of MSU IIT, we're grateful to be part of this initiative as well, and we look forward to having more of this conversation. And in events like this, if we are in one room, right, it's picture or it didn't happen. So now screenshot or it didn't happen, right? So may I request everyone, we're still, a number 114 is a crowd still, at this time. So we request everyone to please switch on your video, right? It's refreshing to see faces on screen, and our technical team will be taking the screenshot of our photo, right? So I think Ma'am Kat, or it's okay if your camera will not allow you to do so, but to those who can, and if your internet will allow you, please feel free to switch on your video, right? I can see a lot of photos now, or videos switched on now. So Ma'am Kat or Sir JP, please give us a signal when to smile. So we have, I think, 6 panels here. So you will be smiling all throughout, because you'll never know which panel are you.
Okay, first panel, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, for second panel, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, let's go with the third. Okay, still loading. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, fourth. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, last. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your smiles on screen. It's refreshing to those who miss the face-to-face events, right? It's good to see people here on Zoom. And again, thank you. And that concludes the second part of our training session in Appreciating Committee on Decorum and Investigation, Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, and Safe Spaces Act. Thank you so much for spending 2 of your Monday afternoons with us. And thank you so much. Also, thank you most especially to our speaker, Attorney Peralta, for sharing your expertise to our participants. And we look forward to more of this exchange, of this training and discussion. On behalf of the Gender and Development Resource Center of MSU IIT and the Commission on Higher Education of Region 10, thank you to everyone for joining and for tuning in until 4:48 in the afternoon today. Please follow the Facebook page of our institute, Gender and Development Resource Center, MSU Iligan Institute of Technology, to keep posted on other gender-related webinars. We would love to see you again in our other activities. And also, again, I'll reiterate, to give feedback on today's session and to help us improve our next session, please complete the evaluation form to also, kind of validate your attendance on these events. Please note that the certificates will be issued after 2 months, and the link is shared in the chat box. It is a great pleasure to moderate this forum. Again, this is Lynn Rose Jane Henon. Daghang salamat. Ug maayong hapon sa atong tanan.
Salamat po. Ingat po kayo
Heavenly
lahat.
Father, as we come to the end of our time together, we thank you for what has been accomplished here today at this webinar. May the matters discussed serve as a catalyst to move us forward and cause us to advance and see growth in all areas of our lives. May we leave here recognizing you are the God of all wisdom and you are willing to lead us forward. This we pray in the name of the Lord Jesus. Amen. Heavenly
Okay, ingat po kayo. Salamat po. Bye-bye.
Attorney.
Ingat kayo. Ingat, ingat po.
Yeah,
See you, Tony. Bye-bye, Amping.